Hi, this is Victor Devon, and you're listening to WEBurlesque, the podcast. Thank you so much for listening to these 60-plus episodes over the course of the last almost 2 years. It has been a lot of fun, it has been enlightening, and I'm always very excited whenever I have a chance to talk to people about burlesque, because frankly, I spend most of my time thinking about burlesque, either about the stage time, the backstage time, who's talking to who's not talking to who, what are our responsibilities as artists and entertainers, and there's so much that goes into it that it all seems so important and so frivolous at the exact same time. We are so extraordinarily lucky that we get to, even on very small stages, perform for people who, I don't know, see in us what they're capable of, or see in us what they would also like to be, or do, or have also experienced. And it's a beautiful thing. I wish, if I had some wishes, I wish that it paid better. I wish that it was more inviting to the general purpose public. I wish that it was as accepted or as understood or as questioned and therefore invited into a discussion as some other mediums. However, I am aware that my experience is not universal and that our experiences are not universal, and there are sometimes we have to just come together and figure out how we can possibly keep our industry relevant. And that's something that I have struggled with over the last 13 years. It is something that I have worked on individually and as part of my own show, White Elephant Burlesque. And it's something that I will continue to work on because, frankly, this is my job and this is what I know what to do. Putting on shows, putting on stunts, putting on dances, putting on hobo gear. So, thank you for being a part of it. If you were listening, you're a part of it. However, this is an expensive ordeal, and I think it's important to be honest with you that I spend a lot of money on shows. I spend a lot of money on paying other performers to be in my shows for audiences that love us, but frankly cannot afford to pay us what we're worth. And sometimes it's a labor of love, sometimes it's a compromise, or it's just an outlet for ourselves, and that can feel very selfish. But I want to be very honest with you and let you know that as someone who travels a lot of times to these performers, who spends a lot of times on the phone and then editing and then working and then having a life outside of it, it's expensive, and I can't really make a living off of what I do, either on stage or in production or with this podcast. And I need your help. If you are at all entertained, inspired, or mad at anything that has ever happened on this podcast, I implore you to consider donating or pledging to the Patreon account, or coming to the shows, supporting the people that I have interviewed. I don't just mean me. I'm a reluctant capitalist. I want you to be able to give money to the people that you love and respect, and frankly, so that they can keep doing it too. But if you are able to also fund this podcast, it will guarantee that I will actually be able to keep doing it, and that I will actually be able to keep doing what this is, which is giving burlesque performers from all over, although admittedly right now it's a little centralized. But the hope is to expand. The hope is to keep getting people aware that we're not only real people, but we're people who have ideas, thoughts, opinions, and something that we need to put out there. And I need your help. So, if you can go to patreon.com/WeBurlesque and give us a shout, give us some money, give us a share, give us a comment, give us a rate, review, subscribe, I would be extraordinarily happy to have it. I know that things are difficult. I know that we are all on charity burnout. We are all on, oh God, I only have so many arms and the world is falling apart. Understand. But if you want this to keep going, I'm going to need one of your arms. Thank you. enjoy this final episode of Season 2 of WEBurlesque, the podcast. It is with the fabulous Lux LaCroix, and I interviewed her in April of 2019, and she is extraordinary. It is a fabulous episode. I didn't put a whole lot of the people that we talk about in the keywords because I didn't want to put her on blast when it came to some of the things she discusses, but she goes in and she actually gives you some really interesting talk on pop culture as she sees it, because she's in the trenches. She's working with a lot of really high-profile people, and I think this is a really cool, rare experience for you to take a listen to. So, that's all I got. I'm going to let us get into it. Thank you for not skipping ahead, unless you skipped ahead, in which case you didn't hear me say this. I'll talk to you soon. Love you much. Oh, good. This is WEBurlesque, the podcast. I'm Victor Devon, and I am on the Lower East Side with Lux LaCroix.
Hello.
Hello. And the pup.
And the pup, Basquiat Ali, the greatest little dog in the world.
Hello. Now, I've known you, Lux, for a couple of years now, but sometimes I don't see you for long stretches of time because you're working all over the place, but largely, I guess, on the West Coast.
Yes, in Los Angeles.
Would you consider yourself a Los Angeles, sometimes New Yorker, or a New Yorker, sometimes Los Angeles?
Well, because I was born and raised in New York. I'm a New Yorker that's often exiled in Los Angeles. That's how I like to put it.
Where were you born and raised?
I was born in Harlem, raised in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn.
Okay.
Yeah, before it was cute.
What were you like were you a performing arts kid?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I believe it.
I've been dancing since I was 2 years old.
2?
Yeah, my parents never made me do it. I always wanted to do it. Every dance class, my mom was like, "Are you sure you want to do this? You don't have to do this." The only thing I stopped doing and didn't want to do was gymnastics because I was such a tiny kid. Like my first class, they threw me up on the beam and they had me hanging on shit, and I was like, I don't think this is safe.
I'm imagining you as like a toddler going, I just don't think it's safe.
I just took myself out of the running. I was like, I'm going back to ballet. We're on the ground. Like the only height is my own body projecting myself up off of it.
Right.
And I'm good with that.
How long did you do ballet?
I'm still doing it.
You're still?
I'm still doing it.
You can do point in the whole thing?
I can do point in the whole thing, yeah.
I've never seen you do it.
I don't perform doing point because I am contractually obligated to have proper flooring and stuff like that.
Oh, I see. Is that like an insurance thing? Or
yeah, it's an insurance thing. Okay. And honestly, I mean, I don't want to do point on a shitty bar floor. Like, I have a career, and I have to...
Oh, excuse me.
I have to, be careful of my body,
Yeah, of course.
And I get... there are a few burlesque people that are true on point, and I truly appreciate it, and they do beautiful performances, and I'm scared to death for them every time they bust it out in, a little bar floor, and God bless them. I'm not going to do it. I have one ballet-type number that I just do in shoes, just ballet slippers, and my up on my toe is pretty, I guess, impressive or whatever, but... I don't pull up.
That's true. That is like a true, we just saw this a couple weeks ago on Drag Race. Like, you throw out a point shoe, the audience is like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a good gimmick.
Yeah, it's a good gimmick. And like Parrish just did his performance, which is beautiful. Like he, and he also does a lot of performances on non-studio stages, so he's used to going with the, oh wow, there's a hole in the, I'm just gonna hop over, you know what I mean? So he's used to it, and I trust him, and I think
one of the things I would imagine is that eventually, if you're not doing it as a discipline, your body, even if you're doing the moves, your body isn't really prepared to do those steps anymore.
Yeah.
And Paris from Seattle is he's doing that all the time.
All the time.
So his body is conditioned
in
a certain way. And there are some people who are like, well, I did it as a younger person, and now, I'm 35. What's wrong? Well, weight distribution for one thing.
Thank you. That's I've had so many burlesque performers reach out to me like, oh, I used to be on point when I was like 12, and I pulled out my point shoes and I broke 3 toes. I'm like, yeah, because okay, let's talk about your core. Let's talk about like, have you been conditioning? You know what I mean? Like it's not a bicycle. Like there's a lot of different factors, and a lot of people push themselves to do point as a gimmick, and it's not a gimmick. It's a true skill, and it's people train their whole lives for it.
Have you, as a choreographer, been asked to do like a quick boot camp version of how to do it?
Yeah. And there's no way.
I mean, I guess unless you fake it with, extras.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, if you want that point look, then hire a bunch of point ballerinas to be in your video, and you stand on your goddamn flat feet and have them dance around you. And everything's great, Yeah.
So, before we jump into... you bossing around people, some of whom we can't talk about, but some of whom I hope we can. The love of dance, you said as a child, you are not only an accomplished dancer, but you are an educated dancer.
Yeah.
Where did you learn all your stuff?
My dance education? It was all here in the city of New York. I went to the School of Performing Arts. I went to LaGuardia. I took a big break from dancing to go to college.
Okay.
Because I wanted to actually, study stuff.
Do you mind if I ask what you wanted to study?
That's a whole other podcast. So, Best Side Brooklyn was, like I said, not cute when I was growing up. So by the time I graduated, which was 17, I wanted to get the fuck out of Brooklyn as far as possible. And I was that weird kid. I was not your average, black kid. I was the weird mixed kid. I was into all the weird shit, and I got all the shit for it in the neighborhood. And I totally got into, the environment, and I was going to save the environment, and I was going to join Greenpeace. I was going to do all this shit. So I went to college for environmental studies.
Okay.
At UC Santa Cruz, which is hysterical. I again wanted to get as far as fuck away from Brooklyn as possible, and I did that. At the time, UC Santa Cruz had an amazing environmental studies program. It was the top rank. So I got over there and realized that, the brochure we have the black person, the Mexican person, I was the black person. Literally, they took my picture when I got there and put me on a brochure. Literally, there was, I think, 0.06% of the entire population of the school was African American. There was more Native American students than there were than us. There were more black people on my block than there were in the entire fucking school. Wow. And to add insult to injury, I get over there and the major's impacted. So I couldn't even study what I want, my initial reason to study there for. So one way around that was UC Santa Cruz at the time had, besides having no grades, they also, you could create your own major. Okay. So by the time I landed there, I was highly enraged and, annoyed, and I decided to create a Black Studies major because, of course, UC Santa Cruz is the only UC that does not have a Black Studies major. And, however, for some reason, they have, some of the greatest Black intelligentsia that works there. Uh-huh. Angela Davis was my thesis advisor. David Anthony, who is, an expert on African history. I studied with him, Herman Gray. I mean, I studied with, the top Black intelligentsia of that time when I was in college. And I basically created my major so that I could work with these people. Mm-hmm. So it all worked out in the end. I graduated early because I had to get the fuck out of there with my degree, or else my parents would have had my high.
When you create a major, and I literally did 2 semesters, so forgive me. It just wasn't for me. And so I have a great respect for when it is for people. Does that major then get grandfathered in as something that people can then do the next year? Or how do you build a curriculum if you're just deciding?
Basically, you get a couple advisors. Angela Davis was one of my advisors. My major was African American consciousness and policy. So it's basically
even more specific.
Yeah, it was very specific. It was basically a sociology major. Okay. Sociology and politics focused on African American culture, society, how African Americans are dealt with in America, and all the situation. It was a lot of heavy shit. Yeah, it was not an easy breezy major. I think pretty much. I mean, I have the degree with it on it. You know what I mean? I think it pretty much lives and dies with me, which is great. You know. Yeah, because UC Santa Cruz, I'm pretty sure still doesn't have a Black Studies major. I'm just guessing.
Investigate, audience, if you're curious.
I wouldn't know because I completely cut ties with them. The Alumni Association called me once and I cussed them out, so they will not be calling me ever again. Like I said, I graduated early because I had to get the hell out of there. And
you had to get the hell out of a lot of places.
Exactly. Seriously, yeah. So yeah, I graduated early. In the meantime, I thought at the time I was going to be a lawyer. So I applied to Howard.
Environmental law specifically?
Well, by that point, I was like, fuck the environment. I'm dealing with black people. So I was going to be a criminal defense lawyer. My final thesis on my undergrad degree was on African American men in the legal system, starting with Emmett Till and ending with, as things were developing, ending with the LA4 and the Reginald Denny beating. So that was happening as I was like writing my thesis and everything. Yeah. So that was what I was looking at. Oh, there's so much more that could be written now. So yeah, that was the period of time frame I was working at. Then I applied to Howard, which is an all-black school in D.C. I was going to be a lawyer. I applied to Howard Law, took the LSAT, the whole nine. Graduated early, moved up to San Francisco because that was the nearest place from Santa Cruz that might have, people that sort of look like me. Not really. Got to San Francisco, realized I probably have no business landing in an all-black college after, dealing with Santa Cruz. I was just, it was one extreme to the other. You know what I mean? Like I needed a happy medium.
Oh, I see.
And I also realized I didn't want to be a lawyer. Like it hit me literally overnight. I'm like, I don't want to be a lawyer. What am I going to do? So I marched myself down to the Academy of Art University and enrolled in the master's program for filmmaking.
Just making the map in my head.
And because I had to get a master's degree. That was the deal with the parents, was that I had to get an undergrad degree and a secondary degree. And then after that, I could do whatever the fuck I want. No big deal. Just got to get those papers. And I could do it in any time frame. Like I went straight through. I went from high school, college, graduate. I was done. I could do it in any time frame, but it had to get done.
So you're doing all of this, you're 23 at the time?
Yeah, pretty much. I enrolled in filmmaking. I really got into documentary filmmaking. I fell in with a bunch of skateboarders and started filming them all around San Francisco.
And you've carried that into your burlesque. You've done some performance art with.
Yes, absolutely. And I actually finished my master's degree early as well because I had to get out of San Francisco because San Francisco and me did not agree. Okay. So I got a master's in a year and a half. I got my fucking degree. Got out of there.
The post service must have loved you. They're like, where the hell do we send your bills?
Literally, like within the third week of living in San Francisco, I walked into my advisor's office. I was like, okay, here's the deal. I don't like it here, but I got to get this degree. So what do I got to do to make it snappy? And he's like, you've got to be kidding me. Because most people, when they land in grad school, they're like, things kind of level out, real life hits in, they start dealing with it.
It can take them forever.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, no, we're getting this done. Let's make it snappy. Let's go. So I got my degree, MFA, documentary filmmaking, focus is cinematography. Okay. Moved down to LA because that's what you do with a degree like that.
Makes sense.
And then land in a film community in LA that at the time there wasn't, documentary film equaled reality TV. Like, there wasn't an independent documentary film community. Mm-hmm. That was in New York, and I wasn't ready to go back to New York yet. I didn't want to do reality TV. Like, come on now. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what I just spent time studying. Yeah. You know what I mean?
You did a lot of very serious things.
Yeah, exactly.
To then go into.
Yeah, I mean, my thesis film was on the use of the word nigger in today's society. I was working on a film on women in punk and hard rock. I did another documentary on Jean-Michel Basquiat. Like, this was the stuff I was looking at. You know, I wasn't going to go film the real world. You know what I mean? Like, that was not why I spent all this money on this graduate degree. So I kind of stepped away from film. And at the time, things were happening in dance in LA, and I started getting tied up in that, and the next thing I know, I'm back in the dance community, and I'm started choreographing, and then I randomly take a burlesque class, and then next thing I know, I'm performing this thing called burlesque, you know, on a weekly basis at the Brown Derby, which was a historical building in LA and a club in LA, and then this whole burlesque thing starts happening, and the time is choreography is happening, and then suddenly I'm back in dance again, and this is where I'm making my money, and okay, here we are. Great. You know, and I mean, the thing is like, if people always ask me, you're going to go back to film? It's like, yes, you know, my performance art, I love film, I love documentary, I love photography, you know, and that's something I can always go to. Mm-hmm. Eventually, you know, I always joke, I'm going to ride this till the wheels fall off, because, you know, there is an expiration date limit when it comes to dance, you know, especially professional dance. Your card will eventually get pulled. Burlesque has a much longer, gracious timeline and whatever, you know, but as far as professional dance, yeah.
Well, you also perform burlesque to, like, the nth. Even on my smallest stage. I've had you only on 2 stages with me specifically, but those stages are not expecting a jump split. And you've provided a jump split. Your first of possibly 3 jump splits of the night.
You know.
So I would say you're possibly accelerating it.
Yes.
But yes. I would imagine that you listen to your body.
Yeah, I take very good care of my body. I mean, the injuries that I've had have never been from dance, except for broken toes. I broke my ribs in a car
we've all
accident.
Broken toes.
You know?
I'm sure I've broken toes and not known it.
Yes.
Apparently, if you stub, the likelihood of at least a...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually stubbed my toes right before I was about to go on point on a show, and just had to tape everything together, get the, you know, cortisone shot, and go down. But yeah, I broke ribs during a car accident. My hip injury is actually from a yoga instructor. Mm-hmm. So, you know, these are the things that I deal with, but yeah, I take very good care of my body. And, you know, I keep my weight in check, and I train, and I stretch.
And you're constantly working.
Yeah,
so
and
you know what I mean?
Probably. So, yeah, it definitely, I'm very aware of my limits and whatnot, and what I can and cannot do. And I don't perform on unsafe stages. I'm very aware of, you know, like, when people ask me to do certain numbers on a stage that like, you know, like Nurse Betty, I'm not going to do the splits on Nurse Betty's stage. I've seen people do it, people that are taller than me, and I'm just like, I go 1 inch forward or back. Nurse Betty's a very small stage in New York. 1 inch forward or back, my leg is slamming into a brick wall, and I'm not gonna take that chance. You know, I'll do a knee drop, but also the place is so small, like, if I do a knee, I'm short already, so half the audience, 3 people back can't see me.
But every time you do that for a relatively small scale burlesque show, you are taking a risk of not being hired for, like, a national tour.
Right, exactly.
And that's a big deal.
That's a big deal. It's a big deal. So I'm very, you know, I'm aware of, like, my stages and what I am going to do and what I'm not going to do. I mean, that's part of the reason why I don't do point. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because, like, I have other things that are happening that I need to think about.
Is there a, I don't know, like a choreographer union or society or like a SAG for choreographers?
I mean, AFTRA, well, we are now SAG. AFTRA is, you know, stage performance. Mm-hmm. And I've been a member of AFTRA since I was 12 because of School of Performing Arts. But now we're all SAG. So
you get the screeners.
Yeah, I get the screeners. But yeah, I mean, there's not, but also, I mean, like, I don't let my union know about my burlesque performances. Okay. You know what I mean? Because they're not, like, the union stuff is, like, the tour performances and that kind of stuff, that's covered there. Like, the union's not going to cover me at, Bootleg Bombshells.
Oh, sure.
Like,
sure.
like, they don't need to know about that.
Do you think that they wouldn't approve of it, or they think that you're taking a risk?
I would be taking a risk that if I get injured, whatever, that's my problem, So
does that make you not allow yourself to be bigger as a presence or as a figure? Because if you're you can't be on a poster then. Like, you can't be recognizable.
Oh, I'm on posters. Yeah, okay. I mean, I'm under the union under my real name, quote unquote. You know what I mean? I mean, one Google search, people could figure it out, whatever. But they're not really that interested in me.
It's really, it's
I'm not.
exciting.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, especially since now that we're SAG, it's like I'm very low totem pole. Like, nobody's looking for my ass. Like, oh, she's over here in Bushwick. Like, like they're not. Yeah, they're not.
Well, then. And we can get as specific as you want. When you start working with pop stars, essentially, how do they find out about you? Do you put ads out? Are you?
Oh no, I work with Debbie Allen through her studio in Los Angeles, and so all my bookings go through her.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she gets the. My imagination of that kind of setup is from Some Like It Hot, where the two musicians are looking for gigs, and so they have to try to make them work.
Right.
So I'm imagining that they're just going through a door, opening it. No work today? Okay, another door. No.
I work through her studio, so it's, she also has a production company, and people run in and out of her. And at this point, like, I've been doing choreography for 15 years. So at this point, it's a lot of like references on references on references. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really audition for choreography gigs anymore. If somebody shows up on my doorstep, it's because
somebody told them to.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's not like a resume that has everything listed on it.
No, I should, and I don't. I don't. I mean, like, occasionally, and like as far as like dance stuff, like occasionally I'll audition for some things. I've recently started thinking about acting. Like, I did a movie last year.
Under the other stuff?
Yeah, and actually I billed in the movie as Lux LaCroix.
Okay.
I played a detective.
Oh.
Because the producer and director found me on Instagram and Twitter. She like follows me on Twitter and wrote me a part.
Wow.
So like, yeah, you know what I mean? And I'm getting like other acting things like that. And it's really funny, like I always went into documentary film because actors in the Bay Area, there's not a big community. At the time, I don't know what's happening up there, but at the time there was not a big like film community out there. So like the actors that I knew were really fucking desperate people. And annoying as fuck. So I never wanted to be a part of an acting community. Like, it was just this awful thing, you know? And I don't consider myself an actor at all, but I'm more interested in that stuff as well. It's like, oh, this is another way that this can take me. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm definitely at the point in my life now where I don't say no to things. Like, I say yes to everything and then figure it out, you know? If it's a creative thing, like I say no to gigs and whatever, you know, but like...
No, but you can say yes, and then as long as you know that you can always say no later.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, when she approached me about the film, I was like, sure, why not? You know what I mean? Like, it's a new thing. I can totally fuck it up. It's scary as fuck.
Right.
Sure, let's
But what are the stakes?
Yeah, exactly.
You're not looking to be...
Yeah, you know, and now I'm, like, digging it. And I'm like, maybe I should take an acting class. And, like, you know. So, yeah, I mean, it's you know, my running joke is it's just another thing to keep me from having to get a real job. And I'm all for that. Like,
you're choreographing for other people, I'm sure there's specifics involved because it's whatever that purpose is for whatever audience it is or what venue. When you're choreographing, thank you, for yourself, is it a challenge? Is it to clear your head? Do you just find yourself doing it innately? What's your process like when it's just
you? mean like when I'm creating a new number?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for burlesque, like, when I first started doing burlesque, I was highly choreographed because that's my nature. That's what I come from. I come from an academic, like, I was taught how to, exactly, like you would with musical theater or anything like that. Like, I had that education for dance. So, yeah, my numbers were super highly choreographed. Like, Prince is super highly choreographed. And I was actually just thinking about, because I did that number 3 times last night. Well, 2. 2 in a face. I was thinking about last night. I'm like, I need to change some of the choreography in the beginning because it's a little boring. I need to, like, swing things up. You know what I mean? Like,
you're still letting people take you in.
Yeah, exactly. So. And I also, my new thing, I'm jumping around, sorry.
No, please, jump.
My professional resolution for this year was to freestyle more and to stand the fuck still in my performances. Because I do a weekly show in LA where I'm hosting and performing, and when you do a weekly show, as you know, it's like, okay, there's so many times in a month I can throw them Celia Cruz. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you have people that come to the show regularly, even though our show's a midnight show and we get a lot of, transient performers. We are starting to build an actual audience that show up there every single week, and it's like, oh shit, you saw this a week and a half ago. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I need to freestyle more. I need to, and a lot of the gigs in LA are like, you're performing in, like, a bar, and there's going to be a DJ, and there's a rock and roll theme, make it happen. You know what I mean? So, like, you can't really go in there with, like, a master plan. It's like, I got to get from one end of the bar to the other, and I got to have everybody see.
So you're not really coming in with an act or
exactly. It's like you come in with a costume.
An extended go-go set.
Totally, which is completely antithesis of the way I work. I mean, I find a song that I'm obsessed with, I choreograph it, and then I'm like, hey, Penny Star Jr. is my costumer, make me a costume. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I work.
This is my vision. This is what I need to
doing.
Do with it.
Yeah, exactly. And she does her thing. You know what I mean?
Do you send her the song?
Sometimes I have. Yeah, because she knows how I perform, and she knows that I'm a flinger and I'm a thrasher and I'm going to destroy her costume. And my poor queen of the damn costume needs to go back to her as soon as I get back to LA, because girl, Akasha's seen some better days. But yeah, I mean, she knows that things have to, my Rocket Raccoon costume is like magnets. I'm like, girl, she's like, trust me on this. They're super duper magnets. If it's fucked, bring it back. But I guarantee you, I've tested this shit and it's not going to come apart. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, do you think magnets can contain me? And it does work. I mean, she knows.
That's the thing is, like, eventually they got to come off, but only when you want them to.
Exactly, yeah. And she knows what she's doing. That's why I work with her. But, so I've learned to be, as time has rolled on, I'm choreographed, but I have, like, air pockets for shit to go sideways. Because, when you're in a bar, on a bar stage, like, who knows what's going to happen,
Even if it's just, you didn't get on stage fast enough when you were entering. Yeah.
Exactly. Somebody was in your way, or suddenly
somebody wants to
table.
Give you $1. Oh,
yeah, totally. Yeah. And as a fellow Virgo, that it goes against our inner core to not get everything done that we wanted to get done on stage. So it's very difficult.
The need to be understood.
Exactly. I have a vision, and I'm here to bring it to you, So that's been my challenge this year, is to, freestyle more and to work. And a number that I've been working, that I just started freestyling with, has become an actual number that I'm doing. The number I did for you to Lekele 47's Attitude. Yes. I started just freestyling to that, and now I have a fucking number. And I love that number. And so yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. And I've also been freestyling with Ike Tina Turner's version of Come Together. Okay. And now I have a number to that. So, and I've also been freestyling with Lizzo's Worship Me, and now I have a number to that. So, yeah, it's like I'm starting to get all these new numbers by freestyling. And then, of course, once I freestyle it, like, once the choreography set my brain, and then I do the same thing.
You just have this retention that I wish I probably have it more than I give myself credit for.
Yeah.
That was one of my major stumbling blocks when I was a look at me what I can do kind of kid, but I wasn't a formally educated, like I didn't play an instrument. I wasn't a dancer. I did a little bit of community theater, but then the gay kicked in and I got nervous. Well, actually, more I shouldn't say, the gay didn't just kick in. My awareness of the gay and other people's awareness of the gay kicked in, and I got a little shy.
Right.
The voice it took a little while for the voice to change. Took a little while for me to feel comfortable in my skin, and Rocky Horror helped a lot with that.
Yeah.
Trial by Fire. And 7 years later, start White Elephant. So it worked out.
Yeah.
But I always felt that I wouldn't be able to like learn lines, so I never wanted to take like the big part in something.
Yeah.
I never wanted to sing, because what if I forget the words?
Yeah.
And now I'm a little bit more pragmatic about it. I'm like, I'm very much aware that as talented as I like to believe that I am, I work for forgiving audiences. They will forgive me if I don't remember it. And I also am quick. So if I do fuck up, I can cover it, or I can make a comment on it, or I can turn it around, or I can say something that they'll think is the line.
Right.
I challenged myself, I don't know, God, has it really been 4 years? Maybe 4 probably, where I did a community theater, just regular gig, not as Victor. Nice. And I was like, all right, it was Agatha Christie of all things. And I was like, let's do it. It wasn't a very big role, but I nailed it, and I did it. I learned a lot about myself from doing that.
Yeah, I'm learning a lot. I've been working with it's just not right just to call him a drag queen, because he's so much more than a drag queen. He's like a drag queen performer. He is an actor as well. Love Connie, John Cantwell.
Oh, yes.
Just featured on RuPaul's Drag Race. Yes. Love Connie. And now Conniewood, the series, is on worldofwonder.com. But I've been working with Love Connie, and I love his drag so much because it's more than just drag. Like, his full shows are 45-minute dance shows. And there's moving images, there's visuals, there's film visuals, there's film references. He brought me on one of his main characters is his cat, Vicky, who passed away a few years ago. Okay. So Vicky the cat is his consummate sidekick. And Vicky got fired. So the new Vicky is me, and I slid in there like a motherfucker. And I put on that white cat mask. I was like, let's do a thing. He does an incredible show called Purple Connie, which is a 45-minute Prince extravaganza. And the story is that Connie leaves her foster home, where she hates her parents in Arkansas, and goes to Minneapolis to audition to be one of Prince's girls. Okay, and of course her cat Vicky comes along for the ride for all the shenanigans. And it's this incredible show that uses visuals of, of course, Prince uses over 200 Prince songs in 45 minutes. Sometimes it's just like a guitar riff. Sometimes it's like, aha, or whatever, It's this incredible fucking show. And that was my first show with him, and I learned the entire thing off tape because I was being inserted because the old Vicky got canned.
Yeah, your replacement.
So, and I just had, and it's more than, dancing is the main thrust of it, but there's also a lot of acting that you're not vocal with, you know what I mean? So it's a lot of...
Does the cat talk?
Nope. Okay. Cat does not. There is nobody talking on stage. It's just pure dance and, like, physical acting. Okay. And like I said, I learned everything off tape in like a week.
Not the shortest notice I'm sure you've been given.
Not the shortest notice, but it was a thing. And got everything done and made everything happen. And then the next show we did, I did everything from the ground up, which was kind of nice to like be in the very beginning of it.
To build it.
And to be back on stage in a theatrical situation, because I don't do a lot of that, you know, like my stage performances are dance, you know, it's not very much theater. So I'm learning, like that's a whole nother aspect of it that I'm learning as well. And John's an incredible actor, and he's also a dancer as well. And he's an incredible comedic actor as well. and physical actor. And he dragged me to this damn Kanye thing as well, where I actually have to talk and learn lines, and gave me the lines the night before. And while I'm trying to move to get to New York, like literally we shot my scenes 2 days before I left. He's like, when you go to New York? I'm like, Thursday. He's like, so can you shoot Tuesday? I'm like, bitch. And he's like, oh shit. Well, you're in episode 5. So I got to write that for you. I'll get it to you by tomorrow morning. I'm like, ah! I was like, I'm not an actor.
So you don't even know necessarily what the context is.
No, I had no idea. I just knew I was the aerobics owner of the aerobics studio named Brenda. Okay.
So look forward to episode
5. Episode 2's out now. That's where you meet Brenda, and he calls me a heifer.
Oh, so you had already previously done some stuff.
Yeah. So working with him has been like, that's a whole nother aspect as well, and I love working with him, and I love doing the stuff he does. But yeah, it's a whole nother skill set that I've had to learn how to do. And again, it's one of those things like, okay, we're doing this. Yes, let's do this.
Right.
I'm not going to say no. You know what I mean?
Well, you've done music videos, you've done tours. Have you choreographed? Are you the lead choreographer, or do you work with a group?
It depends on the artist.
Valid.
Yeah, it depends on the artist.
Valid.
Yeah. A lot of the artists have several, like one artist I cannot name because of NDAs, has several choreographers that she brings in. And then there's one lead that she's worked with forever, and we all kind of work underneath him.
Okay.
And then there's some things where I work one-on-one with the artist.
Does that mean that figurehead has say in what you do? I mean, technically, even if they don't.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, technically, yes.
But obviously, you're there so that he doesn't have to worry about it.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. Like if suddenly I pulled out like some like random like Twilight Tharp shit in the middle of a hip hop video, somebody may look at me side-eye.
That already removes some possibilities.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, when you're hired for a job, like you know what you're there for, and it's just like any like acting job, like.
And you've been on tour with performers as well.
Yes.
Traveling with them.
Yeah.
And as a dance captain, essentially, or
like the tour the African American Cats, as we call the hip hop Cats, which was Watch the Throne, which went into Yeezus, which lasted forever until it burned out and disintegrated into a giant spectacular flame. That was the tour that never ended, and I was I guess dance captain, but we kind of all we all knew our spaces and our roles and everything. Like there was no wrangling of any cats necessary, as well as a lead performer. So
because he's not necessarily known as a dancer, so you're working with other people.
We were exactly. Yeah. We were all dancers that were
around.
Yeah, the Huxtable Community Theater is what my friend called it.
So there are some artists that we see. Again, as a Madonna fan, I was raised on Truth or Dare, so I'm aware that there's sometimes, although not always, a relationship that an artist has with their troupe.
She's worked with her dancers forever.
Yes, and you really have to burn a bridge to not work with her again.
Exactly.
And then she probably will never work with you again.
Yeah.
And you can tell when you're like, oh, this person, where's that one now?
Yeah, exactly.
Something happens.
Yep.
Producers she will go back to sometimes, but dancers not so much.
And that's also indicative of her era that she came up in. Because Janet used to be the same way. Like, Janet just on this pastoral was like, I need new blood, you know what I mean? But there for a while, Janet worked with Tina London years, the exact dancers through it all. Like, all the way through Velvet Road.
Janet even worked with the same producers for years and years.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It was Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. So, yeah, in the 80s and, very early 90s, you had your dancers, and those were your dancers. I'm losing their names, but Madonna had the black chick and the Puerto Rican chick, and those were the two chicks that
I always think of Jose and Luis.
Yes.
Because when she went to the ball circuit, she found the House of Xtravaganza.
Yeah. Yep.
And I don't know, 3 of them became members of the Blind Ambition tour.
Yep. Yep.
And she gave them all pretty good. Al Kashian did it, but time on the film.
Yeah.
They are all shown pretty plainly. But even in a show, I don't know a lot of their names, but I recognize them. I'm like, oh, that one who's in the Confessions tour was also in the Drowned World tour. And then I am at something like, what is it? Fabbriza? It's that dance show in New York where they're above you. And there's like a dome and they dance on top of you, basically.
Oh.
I can't think of the name of it. It'll be in the footnotes. But I saw her, and I'm like, oh, it's the chick from from that, when she was all cyberpunky and Drowned World. So there is like I guess an echelon of even just individual performers, even if they're not choreographer performers or dance captain types, where if you do your job and you're nice to work with and there's no issues and there's good energy, that person will constantly get jobs again. Yeah, and I also, I know that was definitely the case when they first started, and that's how you have your stable. Now there's so many dancers and there's so many outlets for dance. You have, J-Lo's show and, so you think you can dance. There are so many dancers out there and so many of the artists they just want everybody. Yeah. You know what I mean? And now there's finally this movement for all sizes. Yeah. As well as colors, which is amazing. That was recognized, the Beyonce documentary, or that just dropped. It was the Coachella performance. Coachella. Yeah. Yeah, and there's all sizes, and seriously, that's like a 2-year relevation. That just started happening, which is amazing. Yeah, Janet just did it too when she was doing, Exactly. Although I would like to give Monique props for the very first time using, all body performers when she hosted. I think at the time it was still the Soul Train Awards. It hadn't flipped to BET Awards. She did Crazy in Love. I saw that, yes. And she had all her girls behind her. Right. But for that, I think it was expected, quote unquote, because she's a bigger girl herself. No, they tried to give her small dancers, and she refused. So, yeah, nice. And that was the first time on TV where you saw all body types. Yeah. That was huge. Mm-hmm. And, of course, it was in a black arena because those are the bodies that we're used to, you know what I mean? And she definitely needs to get her props for that because she worked her ass off for that performance. And she pushed for those dancers as well. Were you involved in that performance? I was involved in that show, but I wasn't involved in that performance. Okay. So, can you say who you worked with in that show? I don't even remember anymore. That was years ago. Seriously, it was years ago. I love that. Well, I guess that's... And, with award shows, it's so many one-offs. You could be working with somebody that doesn't even exist the next year. You know what I mean? True. That's true. It's seriously, it's you get hired for this thing and that thing, and, especially with award shows, it's okay, you look like you work with that person. And, seriously, sometimes you end up working with somebody outside of it, but literally it's kind of like a film set. You all get thrown in, you work for 3, 5, maybe 6 weeks together, and then you all get spit back out. Cool. Unless it's somebody like a Gaga or a Beyonce who's bringing her people with her. But even Gaga, you get thrown in, you get thrown back out with award shows, and when she used to do big performances and whatever. So well, yeah. You look at, I guess she's only had a career for so long, but it seems it's funny that you hear Poker Face and that's an oldie from her. That's an oldie, and that's a song I was just talking to somebody about Poker Face, is that Jason Derulo was supposed to be the fucking star on that. And, where is he now? I know he's still out in... he's doing Cats. Is he doing Cats? He is. Because he is a theater kid. Let me turn on a light. We're sitting here. He's a theater kid. He's doing Cats. He's a theater... He belongs in Cats. Oh, that makes me happy. He's doing the film version. Good. Yeah. Good. Yeah. That's so funny. I think I found that out on Monday. So it's funny. It's funny you asked. Hilarious. Yeah, we were just saying that because that was a Jason Derulo vehicle, you know. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. So yeah. He'll always be the one who used to date Jordan Sparks to me. That's how I'll always remember him. That and then, well, he'll never let you forget it because he introduces every song with his name.
Yes. Very true. God bless him.
So, those you can mention, because I'm here for the hot gossip if you want to provide it, but I also am respectful of the NDA. Even if you can't name who, can you mention some of the things that you've been thrown into, either at award shows or in some of the projects that you've done?
I was thrown into one particular award show. I don't even know if I can even really talk about it, but, because it's all public record. It was the award show where everybody was scrambling because Chris Brown attacked Rihanna, and neither one of them showed up, and they were he was on the lam, but they were two major, contributions to that Grammys, and
they were both scheduled to perform?
They were both scheduled to perform, and...
Separately?
Yeah.
Because there was that one time where they worked together.
Yeah, that was after everything happened, though.
Because they did
the birthday. He was the guest on Birthday.
Right.
But that was after all that happened.
But there was one performance where she did Umbrella.
Yes, and
then he jumped in.
Yeah,
and then it was a little.
Yeah, but they were expected to perform separately, and it was suddenly, all this was happening. There was a police investigation. Everything was happening. And there was a show that had to happen, and
you were there.
Yeah, they're waking up Smokey Robinson and pull his ass out to do some shit, and making Justin Timberlake do 9,000 things. And my part was MIA, who was very pregnant and having contractions, did Swagger Like Us with a bunch of performers, including Kanye, and she was literally having contractions as she was about to go out on stage. And, we're in the lineup, we're getting ready to go out and do stuff, and, I'm checking on everybody. Yeah. She's making faces, and I'm
she had, like, that soccer ball dress.
Exactly, yeah. She looked like a giant ladybug. And she's making faces, and I'm like, no, girl. No, girl. Because one of the performers, the local sheriff was there to collect him because he had a parole violation, and I had to convince the nice officer to wait 3 minutes and 45 seconds before he takes him because I really needed him to be on stage.
Oh, wow.
So, I'm sitting here talking to Johnny Law. She's making faces. Kanye's being Kanye, and I'm just like, if this all goes to shit, she's going to have the child on stage.
That's relatively early.
That was early, yeah. I was like, he's going to fly on some placenta and shit and, break a hip. And, and then the cop's going to come take somebody else, what I mean?
Wow.
So, yeah, it was a shit show. I literally...
That was the same one?
That was all
That was the
one
same
show. That show literally aged me.
She's another one. Rihanna's another one who you think of something like Umbrella, and that's an oldie. She's another one who had a really long career that's so short.
So short. Yeah. I think I pretty much was walking around with a bottle of booze by the third act because I was just so
Well, when you're working, because that was a featured performer.
Yeah.
On another featured performer because she was the live sample.
Yeah.
If I'm remembering that correctly.
She was, yeah.
Do you work with when it's a a group of folk, when it's not a band,
right.
or it's not like TLC where they're all in the same group?
Right.
Do you work with one person directly?
I worked with them. It was movement on stage, which is a lot of, especially when you're dealing with hip hop, and hip hop performers that don't necessarily dance themselves. Mm-hmm. A lot of the choreography is, okay, so you're going to go and stand on this side, then you're going to go over to this side, and you're not going to cross in front of this person. It's a lot of theater spacing.
Sure.
But it's a lot of things you got to work with.
Because they also have to deal with people yelling at them that they're live.
Exactly.
That they're going to commercial.
Yeah.
Someone's introducing them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're singing.
Yeah.
And, contracting.
Totally, yeah, exactly. God, I will never forgive her for that. I was like, girl. I love her to death.
But again, that was, had she not done that was a big wave for her, too.
That was,
It was a big wave.
Absolutely.
I think that was probably the first time most people had seen her.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's okay. That's a hard one to beat.
That was probably my worst nightmare. Most award shows they're shit shows by nature, because it's
so many pieces
and so many egos, and everybody everybody there is a special snowflake. Bless their hearts.
Mm. They're the talent.
A lot of talent. But it's not any one person's show unless it's Beyonce's. So, like, you know what I mean?
Right, because there's like probably like a billion producers.
Yeah, and
involved.
I mean, there's one main producer, and then there's a billion assistants.
But aren't like individual segments usually produced by?
Yeah. So,
even on like talk shows, people have that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, you know. And then you have, I mean, even on a show where you have like a Beyonce performance, like when she did her pregnant performance at the table and everything, you also have amazing people like Pink, who showed the fuck out singing Hanging Upside Down.
I don't know if she could ever. I think the only way that Pink could really outdo it is like she just stood still.
Yeah,
that's the only thing she hasn't done forever.
You know what I mean? Like,
Ever since that Grammy performance where she did Glitter in the Air, like, you have just written what you have to do from now on.
You know, and she does it. She does it in her live shows.
She seems to love it.
Bless her heart. Yeah, I love Pink, and I love her career, and somebody made a point, like, remember when we all think Pink was black? Because at one point, she was being billed.
That was, what, the L.A. Reid days.
Reid days. We all thought she was black, you know, and, and to this day, there's a lot of black folks in that Pink audience that were there from the get-go. Yeah. But yeah, you know, I mean, they're hectic, they're ridiculous.
What is your perspective on a white or non-black performer who is looking to inject that blackness into their career?
Stop.
Well, besides that, but what if you're hired for it? Do you just say no? I can't work with Miley.
Yeah, I mean, don't even get me started on that. Yeah, today in 2019, I think that is not. People are being called out for it. Mm-hmm. Finally. I mean, we, meaning black performers, have a long history of injecting style into people's performances. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And a lot of times that's the work you get. I mean, I've gotten those jobs. I've been the black dancer. I've been the black burlesque performer, you know. I've been the one that makes everything okay, you know, that checks all the boxes. Because I'm light-skinned, because I'm mixed, because I'm exotic, because I'm ethnically ambiguous. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
You can read as a lot of things.
Whatever
the audience wants you to be.
I can be anything, and I've actually, this past trip, I've gotten a lot of jobs because people have just assumed that I'm Puerto Rican.
Okay.
And okay, you know, I mean, my running joke is I'm Puerto Rican and I'm cosplaying Puerto Rican for pay. But yeah, you know, I mean, I play a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. I guess if you don't know what a mixed person looks like, right. I was raised that you're black. You know what I mean? And so I've always thought that it's pretty obvious I'm black. And as I've gotten older, I've realized that it's not, even after we've had a mixed president, but whatever.
Well, possibly because he was, it was a good black and a bad black.
Right.
Depending on who you were listening to.
Exactly.
It was always about him being black.
Right.
And that was sometimes not a good thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Still
to this day, yeah. So, I think finally people are getting called out for the ridiculousness. Like, Miley got dragged for that shit.
She did, but it didn't stop.
It didn't stop.
Until the album was done.
Yeah,
Like, that's the thing. She waited till the tour was over.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we all have problematic faves, and we all decide who we're going to acknowledge and who we're not going to acknowledge. But if you're hired to inject blackness into a performance...
Right.
How do you, and you may not know that, and when you get
and that's the thing, like, a lot of times you don't know it, you know what I mean? And I would even argue that if you're the only black person in a burlesque lineup, it's the same situation, you know? And the fact of the matter is that we all got bills to pay, we all got to eat. We all have very expensive dogs to deal with. Who
has not left your lap for 50 minutes now.
This is natural habitat. I work like this. You
choreograph like this.
I choreograph like this, yes. As a dancer, as a performer, as a person of color, because I don't think it's just black. I mean, there's the people that are, Latino or Latinx that get put in situations because they need a brown face, and the Asians. And
frankly, you fall into that category because people perceive you
as Puerto Rican, you know what I mean? So, I can knock off both boxes. I don't knock those performers who take those jobs. Like people, what is his name? I know him too. The poor black guy that was in the Taylor Swift "Look at What You Made Me Do" video. Toddrick, yes. Toddrick has bills to pay. Toddrick needs him some luxury goods. I hope Toddrick took that white woman's money and bought something fabulous with it. Okay, you know what I mean? Like, but people were trying to drag Toddrick. It's like, bitch, I'm sure that was like a second-tier level job, a union job. He got paid quite nice for that job. You sitting in your cubicle, I guarantee you that he got paid probably twice your monthly salary. So if somebody threw that in front of you, you think you wouldn't jump behind Taylor Swift and do her little moves? You know what I mean? Like, I don't think so. Don't question those people. The people you question is Taylor Swift. Why she only had Toddrick? Why did she hire Tyrone and Tyree and Jerome? You know what I mean? Like, why was it so obvious that he was the one? Because she had never had anyone before. And she was ripping off Beyonce's Formation, and so she went and got herself a black man. It was so obvious what she was doing there. And I say it's Taylor, she seems very involved in every level of her, image and whatever. So yes, I'm completely calling her out on this.
She's not being managed right now.
Exactly. It could also been like, a producer or a whatever, fine. But Taylor seems to present herself as Taylor is CEO of Taylor Swift. So I'm going to call her out, and that's bullshit that she went and got her somebody, because she was obviously ripping off Formation, and so she got herself a black to make it okay. You know what I mean? Yeah, I see you, girl. Fine. I'll call her out. I don't call him out. Because, honestly, if Taylor Swift called me, I'd be like, yeah, girl, when do we start rehearsals? You know what I mean? Like, you going to meet my rate? Let's go. I mean, if I was looking for a job, but I have a job at the moment, yeah, sure, whatever, fine.
Well, and also then at least you know there's some authenticity in that person who's brought into the project.
Exactly.
It's not going to be...
A job is a job is a job. I haven't seen him behind her since. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's becoming very obvious in arts, in theater, in popular culture, the tokenism. And tokenism has always been a thing. I mean, Madonna has always had her one black woman dancer. the one that stands to the right of the left of her. She's always had her. You know what I mean? She's brought in other people too, but from day one, homegirl hasn't been there.
She had Nikki Harris as a singer dancer, and Donna on the other side.
From day one.
Yeah, and then when Nikki did the gospel thing and couldn't tour with her, she got someone who looked, frankly, very similar.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly.
She got a replacement black, from day one. I mean, black people have a history of making white people look good in all ways, shapes, and forms, and people are finally getting called out on it. And I honestly don't know if that means, whoever Taylor, and I'm just going to pick on Taylor Swift because I can. If Taylor Swift hires 4 black people, is it okay? I don't know if that sits right with me either because, why? Yeah. What's your motivation?
Well, she got some, again, sorry, Taylor. She got some commentary when she did the Shake It Off video.
Oh, that was bullshit. That was that was enraging. I mean, my dad always said, and it's not his original saying, I don't know who he cribbed it from, but it was, white people want the look and the feel and the fashion of black culture, but they don't want the struggle. We're very fashionable people. I mean, we invented rock and roll. You know what I mean? There would be no music without black people. And we're really good to look at. You know what I mean? We make everything look really fucking good. We have an innate style. We have an innate finesse. We have an innate sense of class that we bring to every situation. Every single one of us has it naturally. So when you bring one of us on set, yes, your shit is going to be popping naturally. But god damn you for bringing us on just to make your pasty white ass look good. God damn you. And god damn you if you pay us less.
Well, yes.
For it. Yeah. No, that shit doesn't fly anymore. That shit does not fly anymore. And there's no reason for that shit to fly anymore because you have Beyonce who does an entire show dedicated to black universities and in her documentary only shows black fans being excited about it on purpose. She went from Tyrone to Nisha, I'm going to jump over you, Becky, to, you know what I mean? Purposely. That's what you have someone who has that power to do that now, and that is so beautiful, and it's making all of these other people whose entire careers have been finessed and made better by having 1 or 2 black faces in the mix really fucking nervous. Because not only is Beyonce doing that naturally, she's stealing your dancers. And she's paying them more. And she's giving them projects that they're excited about and that they identify with. And yeah, it's going to make your life harder because it's going to be really hard to find people to work with. Because why would you work with someone like that when you can go work with Beyonce, when you can go work with Cardi B who does the same thing, when you can go work with Lizzo who is blowing shit up. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like Janelle Monáe. There's no reason to go work for Miley Cyrus. And Miley's getting really nervous.
She went back to the acoustic really quick.
You know what I mean? I will admit, her singing Jolene does give me goosebumps. That version she does acoustically, and it makes you, realize yes, Dolly Parton is her godmother. I understand that. That's great. But yeah, I mean, and that's what she needs to stick to. That's what she needs to stick to. She does not need to do her pseudo rap urban experience.
White folk have always taken what is fashionable and what is
which is black culture
of the moment, right?
At all times,
absolutely. And there's it is sort of an all lives matter mentality, which is meh, which I guess is sort of but it's a cultural sharing.
It's a melting pot. No, that doesn't play anymore.
I would say that you could argue that if it was a black artist inviting you to experience it with them.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
But
like
if you're the one in
duet.
charge, then I think that's not quite how the melting works.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's not. Yeah, if it's a legitimate duet, which I'm trying to think of one. I mean, I'm even like, oh damn, trying to think of one that was like an obvious like mutual. Everybody's getting everything out of this situation evenly. I can't think of one. There has to be one. And I can't.
Call in now.
You know what I mean? Yeah, if you can think of one. I'm even trying to think like, even like Michael Jackson and Paul McCartney. No,
that was
Michael
exactly
Jackson,
who I thought of.
Yeah, but Michael Jackson owned Paul McCartney at that time. So no, that was not the case. Yeah, I can't even think. I mean, maybe like way back when like Tina Turner used to like go on stage with the Rolling Stones.
Tina and Bowie.
There we go, Tina and Bowie. There we go. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah, and like because Tina Turner taught Mick Jagger how to dance, so it's like those like Tina Turner basically. Let's just talk about Tina Turner. Into
it.
You know what I mean? Like, let's just talk about some Tina Turner. Yeah, basically, I mean that's like the only thing. Nothing contemporary though.
Yeah.
Nothing contemporary.
Everything's a feat tag, so that automatically shifts it already.
You know what I mean? And it's acts of desperation and needing to be cool and needing to capture a moment. Mm-hmm. And it's motivated not from like Bowie and Turner.
To be fair, like that's half of Nicki Minaj's career is feet tags.
Don't get me started on Nicki, bless her heart.
But she has also made a career out of being one of the go-to.
Absolutely.
For that.
Absolutely, yeah.
And Kanye had that going on for a while too.
Yes. Oh yeah. I mean, Kanye was, and I will argue still is, one of the greatest hip hop producers. Situations providing. But back in the day, I mean, Kanye produced every jam that came out of Chicago for sure. Late 90s, early 2000s.
That we didn't know.
He was the producer. Yeah, you had no idea. Yeah. He wasn't credited on half of the shit that he produced.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
Because he was a session kid. I have a professional relationship with him. It's hard for me to write him off. I don't agree with everything that, of course, that he's done and he's said, especially in the past few years. But I also know the physical and health situations that are,
going
on. And he's making strides to be better. And he's getting his life back. And one thing about Kanye is you can't count Kanye out. You can't count him out. Because every time you do, because he is such an egomaniac, it makes him work harder. To prove you wrong. Last year, Kids See Ghosts with Kid Cudi should have been Album of the Year. I don't know when it was released. It may still be,
up for it.
Out for something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, brilliant. Fucking brilliant. Couldn't really do a lot behind it because Cudi's in recovery and he's not really interested in going on the road for long amounts of time as well. Understandably so. Mm-hmm. And Cudi's another one who's completely underrated, like as far as hip hop flow.
Do you think touring is the way that most artists connect with their record sales?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the only way you can make money nowadays with streaming.
Yeah.
Is tour merch. I mean, it's still, and that's pretty much been the way to go with bands and forever. Is like you go out on tour, you buy, sell merch. I mean, that's it. But God bless Beyonce. She got paid for Coachella. Mm-hmm. Then Netflix paid her for the same exact show that she. And she just released an album of it.
And that's available streaming.
Still
can't get Lemonade anywhere.
Only on Tidal, though.
I know. No, is
it on Apple? She did it on Apple because of Netflix.
It's on Spotify.
Because of Netflix, yeah. Yeah, but she still can't get Lemonade.
Yeah. Still can't get Lemonade.
Yeah. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, but Kanye's not gonna go that late. You know what I mean? Like, that performance was a moment in time that absolutely needed to be documented and will need to be referenced. And I mean, it's a Janet Jackson, like, you know what I mean, level of situation that's happening there, and that's absolutely there. Kanye doesn't make those. His stage performances are an absolute feat of theater when they go the way they're supposed to. And he definitely does something that 90% of hip-hop artists don't do, and that he creates a mood and a theater, and he has a storyline, and he has this whole situation when it goes properly that happens.
But then he's criticized as being overbearing and theatrical when that's something that's a plus.
Yeah.
Any other time.
Yeah. And honestly, I think that he gets that. There's a racial twinge to that, too.
I would say so.
Because he's not doing anything differently than, say, I don't know, who's a big white theatrical performer?
Oh, Madonna.
Yeah, exactly.
Madonna
Gaga.
Gaga.
I mean, she gets shit because she's a woman.
She does. Okay, Justin Timberlake?
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Or
the go-to white would be black if not for the white.
That fucking Grammy show. Somebody get Justin Timberlake, he play piano. I'm like, really? We're pulling him out of bed at this moment? Like, really? Like, yeah, it's just stupid. But yeah, you know, I mean, there's a racial motivation against that. Yeah, a lot of his criticism comes from that, you know. Especially as he started to get unhinged, because then he was dangerous, and it's just like, he's off his meds. A lot of white people are off their meds too. It's just.
But there's a certain glee. There's a what?
I said their wives took away their phones so they don't tweet.
There's a certain cultural glee in that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And when you're dealing with somebody who, I mean, is an self-professed egomaniac.
Sure.
That motivates them even more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah.
So.
I don't even know how we got to that point.
We were just talking.
I'm like, how do we get on that road?
We were just talking. This is why you'll never see me with a notepad of questions. A, because I'm not really interviewing you. And right. B, because I'm like, we're going to get to it or not. There are times where I'm like, okay, so I want to make sure I do this and make sure I talk about this, and I never get to it. And I filled an hour and a half, so, you know. Who were some of your icons that you grew up with at wanting to either be like, or that motivated you, or that made you see? I mean, you mentioned Tina as someone.
Tina Turner. I mean, honestly, I think Tina Turner has become an icon to me as I've gotten older.
Okay.
Like, I've really been worshiping at the altar of Diana Ross and Tina Turner as of lately.
They're mature. They're not really. I wouldn't say they're not They're not adult mature.
Right. But
they're sophisticated.
They're sophisticated, and they are our current divas. You know what I mean? Now that Aretha's gone, like, you know what I mean? I've been on a series.
There are living legends.
Yeah, exactly. There are living legends. Yeah. I've been on a serious, like, Tina and Diana worship kick as of lately. Tina, I've always worshipped Tina. I have a Tina Turner number. You know, she's always been my, like, yeah. But as I've gotten older, like, I've really grown to appreciate Tina Turner. And I just saw, when I was in London last year, I saw the Tina Turner musical, which is opening on Broadway on November 7th with the same cast. And you gotta go see it. It's fucking phenomenal. The woman that plays Tina Turner is so fucking good. And it, like, ends with, like, an hour-long Tina concert. And it's like watching Tina in concert. And it's just, I just cannot fucking express how you have to go see this show. It's so good. And Tina wrote the book for it, so she's been involved, and from day one she picked the woman, like, it's so good. So yeah, and then Diana Ross, she just performed for her 75th birthday. She just threw a big show for herself at the Palladium. And I've seen her live before. I've seen her at the Bowl twice. But to see her at the Hollywood Palladium, which is a much smaller venue, sort of like half a Webster Hall is the Palladium size. Yeah. So to see someone like Diana Ross in a relatively small space, I was backstage. She walked by me. Her daughter came up and said hi to me because we take Soul Cycle together, a total LA thing. And I'm obsessed with her daughter too because I'm like, we should be related. We're both mixed. Okay.
This is Tracy?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, we both don't want children. Okay, like, we need to be best friends. We both take Soul Cycle. Okay, like, why aren't we best friends, Tracy Ellis Ross? Just like,
when are you gonna do a big dance number on Blackness?
You know what I mean? Like,
call someone.
Call me in. I've loved you since Girlfriends. Anyway, so like, but let's face it, Diana has never been known for her voice.
That was the whole point, right?
Exactly. Diana has been known because Diana is Diana. Yeah. She was the one with the pizzazz. You know, she didn't have to sound good. She didn't have to sound good because she was Diana. Mm-hmm. And she's made an entire career of that. And that's brilliant.
She had the rock era. She did the disco.
She's done things. Yeah. And when you think about, like, Diana Ross, like, epic performances.
She's done movies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Epic performances. Yeah. Not necessarily epic singing skills, but epic performances. And great songs, which she never wrote a single one of.
Well, there are some people, Bette Midler once said that she's not a songwriter, she's an interpreter.
Yeah,
and that is an entirely different skill set, because how many times do you hear songs written by the person who wrote them?
Yep.
And singing it, and you're like, so what?
It's not singing. Exactly.
So exactly. You need star power.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, at her 75th birthday, like, I'm like, legend goals. I'm like, I saw my future. She had people carrying her from one end of the stage to the other. Yeah. She would just stand there and, like, let other people sing the lyrics. Okay? Just like, you know what I mean? She, like, had costume changes, like, diva. Like, seriously, just brilliant. And I'm slowly developing a Diana Ross number, which may be my first lip-syncing act.
Oh.
I want to recreate Ain't No Mountain High Enough, the Central Park version with her in the rain.
That's like spoken.
So I gotta figure out how to make it rain. Okay, like without sound like
very thin fringe.
You know, like video projections. There's gonna have to be video projections, and like I'm gonna have to have my hair wet, and like just like all the things have to happen. So that's in my head. But yeah, so like now my idols are like. Yeah, definitely Tina and Diana. Like, those are two women that are still doing shit. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, you know, Tina has gotten more beyond, you know, because she's been ill and whatever.
Mm-hmm. She's got married recently.
Yeah, you know, to her boyfriend of like 40 years. That's like 30 years younger than her. Love you, Tina. You know.
What was scandalous then is now inappropriate now.
Exactly, you know, and she lives like Tina is living the good. She's like in Sweden. Yeah. She's a Buddhist. She don't give no fucks. Still looks banging. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, Tina's the shit. But growing up, it was Janet Jackson all the way. Mm. Rosie Perez. Because I know Rosie Perez as the dancer and the choreographer. Like
people just learning from the Solid Gold Soul Train moments.
Oh my god. Rosie Perez on fucking Soul Train, like, come on now.
Yeah.
Everybody talking about Homegirl with the hair. I was all about Rosie Perez because, I mean, like, she was everything. And her as a choreographer, like, people don't even know the shit Rosie Perez choreographed. And it's like, bitch, your whole life was choreographed by Rosie Perez and you don't even know it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Oh my god. Like, yeah. And growing up in New York and growing up in Brooklyn, like, Rosie Perez, dancer choreographer, was everything. And then when she started to act, like, the opening sequence of Do the Right Thing is still, I mean, I watch it at least twice a month. You know what I mean? Because that was pure Rosie. Like, Spike has even said, like, I didn't give her any direction. I turned the music on and she just fucking went. And that was her. Like, that was her. I've seen her dance live before. I've had the privilege of meeting her and basically told her, like, my entire career is because of her. And it was just a complete stupid idiot. But, you know, whatever. She found me charming, I think. She didn't call the cops. But, yeah, you know, growing up, like, dancing, like, it was Janet Jackson, it was Rosie Perez. There was nothing else. Like, I broke furniture trying to figure out Pleasure Principle. Like, you know what I mean? Like, damn near broke my neck. At the point where my mom was like, okay, this ends now. Okay, like, Like, we support you and everything, but you're gonna break your neck, okay? Like, you cannot do this shit. There's cameras, okay? There's behind-the-scenes shit that's happening. This is not meant to be recreated in our brownstone, okay? Like,
and she was another one. She was another one who had a choreographer.
Yeah.
She had Paula.
Yeah.
And
Paula.
she had other and
that's another one. Fucking Paula Abdul.
Yeah.
Like, everybody knows Paula Abdul now as being strung out on, whatever pill she's on. Paula Abdul, choreographer, dancer, is the shit. I mean, Cold Hearted Snake, that fucking video. I mean, it's basically a jerk-off session to Fosse, but it's amazing. And she is
great.
Brilliant. That fucking video.
That whole video.
I just had to I had a job to recreate 80s music videos. So I went down the YouTube rabbit hole and watched Pleasure Principle, which admittedly I watch at least twice a month. Anyway, but refound Cold Hearted Snake, and that's another one that I'm on repeat now with. Because that video is...
Yeah. There's some good... She has a couple of really good... opposites attract.
Opposites attract, yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
it's imagine that it's mostly the cat that gets the attention, but she's working.
And she's
the
working,
whole
and
time.
she choreographed the fucking cat. So anyway, she choreographed a fucking cartoon character. You know what I mean? Like, come on. Like, yeah, Paula Abdul was the shit.
Yeah.
She was the shit. Yeah, but definitely growing up dancing, it was Janet and Rosie all the way. All the fucking way. Like, you couldn't tell me nothing other than Janet and Rosie.
Have you ever worked with Janet?
I have.
Cool.
I have. And when I got that call, I had to pull off the side of the road because I threw up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask, was there anybody that you met that was almost too much? But do you get starstruck?
There was recently somebody that starstruck me that was just so stupid that no one else would get starstruck over. Who was it? Well, Tracy Ellis Ross, but I get starstruck over.
It's a personal
stupid
connection.
Shit.
But it's a personal
exactly.
connection.
I've worked with some of the biggest people in the world. Sidney Poitier, I had nothing to contribute to that situation. My friend was Blake Edwards' assistant, which again was like a mind-blowing thing. Because he worked with Audrey Hepburn. Fucking, despite the whole racist Mickey Rooney thing, directed Breakfast at Tiffany's.
He'll always be Victor Victoria for me.
Breakfast at Tiffany's is, that was my thing. That was always, and then, the next Breakfast at Tiffany's Party Girl with Parker Posey, that was, the quirky, that's me. But yeah, so we went out to lunch with Blake Edwards, which already, was just like, yeah, okay, this is cool. Yeah. You know what I mean? And we're at lunch, and in walks Sidney Poitier. And of course, Blake is like, "What's up, Sid?" I'm just like, I'm going to vomit. I'm going to fucking vomit. Shook his hand, really had nothing to say. I couldn't say, what am I going to say to Sidney Poitier? Nothing. I got nothing. Okay? Nothing. I shook his hand, I sat there shaking. Probably visually shaking. But yeah.
Well, that also makes sense because that wasn't a job.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You had time to be affected by it. I mean, even if it's someone like super famous, you're there and they need something from you.
Yeah.
So there's not really probably much time.
Yeah, and exactly. And also, living in LA and growing up in New York. I mean, in New York, I rode the subway every day with Matt Dillon growing up. You know what I mean? It just, in New York, people are literally everywhere you go is somebody, and it doesn't affect you because we all are here trying to get from point A to point B, and you know what I mean, Spike Lee's in the subway, you know what I mean,
there's also no time.
There's no time,
there's
exactly.
No time.
There's no fucking time. So, and then with LA, everybody is everywhere as well.
I think that's one of the reasons that taking photos of celebrities when they're out has become so prevalent. It's not necessarily because you want to necessarily prove that you saw them, because again, we live in a city culture where we would just believe you.
Yeah.
I think I bumped into Matthew Broderick once when he was doing The Producers. But I'm like, okay, I saw Luke Perry, may he rest in peace.
Yes.
When he was filming something on the street where they had it closed off, and I'm like, who is Luke? but I think because we don't have time to say something to them or acknowledge it, we're like, there, it lives forever. Just lives forever in our phones and our Instagrams.
But yeah, I mean, I don't really get, like I said, I get affected more by legends than like the flavor of the moment.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean? Because it's like those are the people that really contributed something. You know. Yeah. I mean. Yeah. Like those are people that really contributed stuff that's going to be remembered.
Yeah.
You know, in 5 to 10 years. You know, and there's who knows what the future holds for Ariana Grande. I appreciate her. I mean, homegirl's gone through some shit. Made a great album. I don't know if she's going to be here in 5 to 10 years. Who knows? She'll probably be on, I mean, if she's anywhere in the landscape, she'll definitely be on Broadway at some point.
Could be.
You know what I mean? But, you know, I don't know. I don't know if she's the next Madonna or legendary, somebody who spans over generations. I don't know if there's anybody who, I don't even know if they make people like that anymore. You know, like, do they make people like Madonna?
Well, when we throw, because there's different versions, because you have someone like Madonna who's also a contemporary of someone like, I don't know, Annie Lennox.
Right.
Extraordinarily different kinds of artists.
Right.
Cyndi Lauper. Extraordinarily different kinds of artists.
Who are all derivatives of Kate Bush.
And then you have people who have like a legendary fan base where they'll still if they were to go on tour, they would sell out every arena, but they're not played on radio.
Right.
Like Cher is a good example. Yeah. She'll probably still get some YouTube hits. Yeah. If she releases something.
Oh yeah.
But like I saw Tori Amos and hasn't had a
Where
hit
the fuck
since
has she been?
England. Hasn't like she's like released like a classical album and like she has no fucks, none. There were some radio contemporary attempts, right. But they've all failed. Yeah. They've never been the accidental hits.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess there was an expected formula for the pop star. Like, okay, you try a movie, you see where that goes. Right. You make a standards album. Right. You see where that goes.
Well, hey, that's Lady Gaga's career.
It's Lady Gaga. And that was Madonna too. Madonna did a standards. Well, it wasn't a standards album, but it was jazzish. Yeah. It was Dick Tracy. Yeah. But you do what you can. You do the talk show circuit, maybe. Right. But I guess. I don't know. How do you? I remember when like the Lady Marmalade came out, and they were like, "Oh, the pop stars of the moment," and I'm like, "Let's see. Okay, Pink is now flying in the air.
Right. Pink is now decidedly white.
That was right on her cusp. She
firmly jumped into whiteness. She was like, "Yo, people, this is where I should have been in the first place, but it's all good. Love ya, but I'm here."
Christina Aguilera can't buy a hit unless she's a featured artist.
Bless her heart.
And she has great hits as a featured artist.
She has an incredible voice. I'm like, girl, just go to Broadway. Just give it up and go to Broadway.
Or do like a club tour. Like, do a one-woman show with a piano.
Because the gays still love you.
Absolutely.
The gays will be there for you.
She would sell out a piano bar.
Oh, my God, in a heartbeat. Yeah, but she also gets in her own way because she has a very bad attitude.
I've heard nothing good about working with her.
She has a very bad attitude. I've never worked with her personally, but I've been in situations where I'm working and she's there throwing attitude. I know people that have worked with her.
I know people who have worked with her as well.
That will never work with her again. Mm-hmm. And, you know, and it says a lot that she has all that talent and she ain't doing shit right now. Oh, wait, she's raising her kid. Yeah, okay. So, I
guess that's okay.
That only buys you 18 years, honey. You still got to figure something out.
But in that time, she still released 2 albums that didn't go anywhere.
Exactly.
And at least one of them was good.
Yeah, it's like, Christina, like Maya's on Broadway. Bless her heart.
What is she doing?
She did Chicago.
I know who hasn't?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she did Chicago.
Yeah, she
Lion
did.
King. No, she didn't do Lion King.
That was Maya Days. That was different. It was a different Maya.
I don't know what she's doing. I know she's been making the Broadway rounds.
She's been doing stuff.
She's been doing Broadway for a minute.
She and Deborah Cox.
Yes.
Both been doing
Michelle
that.
Williams.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, she's getting her
Which is
money.
what Toni Braxton was doing.
Yes.
20 years ago, 15 years ago.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There is a trajectory, I guess, is expected of the pop star.
Yeah.
And I think since everything is so manufactured, everything's so fast, and everyone needs to release an album every year instead of every 2 or 4.
Yep.
That used to be the deal.
Yeah.
Used to be every 2 years or every 4 years, then an album would go, because then you'd release it, you would tour, you'd record, and then you move on. Now we expect it so much.
And that's why
and people get burned
I love
out.
me some Rihanna so much, because Rihanna's like, fuck you. I'll give you an album when I want to give you a motherfucking album. And you will wait. And you will stand my ass. And you will follow everything I do. Oh, look, go buy some underwear. Go, buy. Okay?
I don't have any singles. Here's some cosmetics.
Exactly. I'm going to do an Amazon movie with Donald Glover. Fuck you, buy. Okay, I'm going to wear my natural hair. Fuck you, bye. Okay? And you're going to love it. And I'll give you a goddamn album when I want. And you know what? It's going to be a fucking reggae album. And you're going to fucking buy it. And you're going to love it. Yeah. I'm going to have reggae hits on top 40. What? You know that she's going to have it. You know what I mean? And it's, And
she will probably never take the Vegas gig.
No. No, she won't need to. Bitch has enterprises. She has multiple, diversification. She doesn't have to do anything ever again if she wants to. You know what I mean? She is truly taking it on her own time. And she truly has her people in line, whereas they're not putting her in situations that she does not want to be in. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? She has no problem saying no. Mm-hmm. She has people that listen to her when she says no. Yeah. And she's in it for the long haul. She's definitely in it for the long haul. We're going to be talking about Rihanna 20, 30 years from now. That's not going to be a problem.
I've never heard anything bad about working with her either.
No, I've worked with her, and she's a fucking dream.
Good.
She's a fucking dream.
Good.
Yeah. And,
not that I'm looking for names, probably because of context. Has anyone truly, truly disappointed you? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The damnedest thing. Yeah. I mean, there's some people who are like, well, I expect you to be terrible, and you fulfilled that.
Yeah.
But
definitely.
I guess the adage of don't meet your heroes.
Yeah, and that's a whole other thing. Is don't meet your heroes. Yeah. I mean, don't meet your heroes is one of the reasons why I've never met Courtney Love. I've been in rooms with Courtney Love. I've been face to face with Courtney Love and turned around and ran the other way. Because I need Courtney Love to forever be on the cover of Pretty on the Inside. You know what I mean? I need Courtney Love to be when she showed up in the fucking gown at the Oscars. You know what I mean? I need that. I need Courtney Love to always be that Courtney Love. I need to never meet her because I need that Courtney Love in my life forever because she's been a big part of my life. You know what I mean?
If you had told me, name 50 influential women or performers of any type, I don't think I would have gotten to Courtney Love's name. As far as, yes, she's done some shit. Well, yeah. But frankly, most of it was self.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't subscribe to the Kurt Cobain theories that she contributed to that, and in any other way than she could not live up to what he needed in a spouse.
Right.
But everything that she's ever done has only hurt really herself.
Yeah, and the stuff that she's done to hurt herself, she's also been incredibly fucked up on multiple substances. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And
has been proven right about many things.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Yeah, I love and adore my version of Courtney Love. And I never need that to go away. You know.
She's in the news again. She's talking about Britney Spears.
Oh, because she's under I heard a tail end of something. She checked herself in someplace, right?
Well, Britney
checked herself in.
Britney checked herself in because of depression and anxiety and everything that goes with her father.
Dad's about to croak.
Yes.
But her dad has the conservatorship, so I guess the issue is what happens.
Well, and Courtney came forward saying that one of the reasons that her mental health is deteriorating is that her father sexually abused Britney.
And here's Courtney to tell you that.
I know. And then everyone's bringing up the whole Weinstein red carpet moment from, 10 years ago.
Oh, girl! Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's the funny thing is, you go through a career doing coke in bathrooms with the A-listers. You're going to know what's going on.
I've been privy of some situations, you know what I mean, that I will not do. I mean,
I get it.
I mean, me as just a very, very, Ninth Circuit orbiter knew that you never put yourself in a room with Harvey Weinstein. You know what I mean? It was just common fucking knowledge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was, that's a whole other podcast. But, yeah, no, I love me some Courtney Love. Yeah, definitely.
Who else were inspirational or that you look up to?
Well, I mean, looking up to is a whole nother level.
Well, okay.
But definitely people that I pull inspiration from.
Sure.
Definitely pull inspiration from. Well, I mean, obviously, first and foremost, Prince. As always. This will probably shock people who don't know me. I'm a giant Perry Farrell, Jane's Addiction fan. I've always loved Perry Farrell. Have worked with Perry Farrell, who is amazing. And he is one person where I've been in several rooms with him, and after many years of working with Lollapalooza and whatnot, could finally look him in the eye. Literally, it was just so teenage, could not, oh my God, he's there. Yeah, seriously, yeah. My father had concerns about how black I was going to be there for a minute when, he would walk into my room, and there'd be posted, Duran Duran, Depeche Mode, Jane's Addiction, and there'd be a Prince and a Run DMC, but it was, very white and very British. My dad would just take a deep breath, it'll be okay. It'll be okay.
generations, our families have stayed at the Gilman, the home away from home that has been standing for 75 years. It was the final vision of our town's industrial leader, Lionel Gilman. Born in 1819 to a devoted mother and father only a few miles from where the hotel now stands, Lionel Gilman made a name for himself with multiple acts of business savvy and early social awareness. Indeed, Mr. Gilman was touted by colleagues as a symbol of strong leadership, a giving heart, and an eye for the future. While Mr. Gilman only lived 2 years after his amazing hotel was opened for business, it was through strategic business plans laid out before he died that ensured his building would stand proud for 3/4 of a century.
Victor Devon presents Two Nights Stay, Stories from the Gilman.
I mean, we are losing some legendary figures. We mentioned Aretha. We lost Prince. We lost Bowie.
Yeah, like people who weren't supposed to die. I'm in denial about Prince as far as I'm concerned. Prince is still in the studio, and
He's still in Paisley Park.
Yeah, exactly. He's just doing his thing. Yeah, I mean...
Another one who didn't give a fuck about being played on the radio. Another one who would just I will release whatever the hell I want.
When I want it.
When I want it, and it will be what I want it to be, and people will still buy it.
And people did. Yeah.
Perfectionist. Absolute perfectionist, too.
Absolute perfectionist. Yeah, and, I have no regrets with my standing when it comes to Prince. I saw him many times. He spent 2 months in L.A. doing a show every single night. I went every single night. It was where we're going to see Prince today. I'm friends with his ex-DJ, and I literally was like, hi, I'm your best friend for the next 2 months. I am going to use and exploit our friendship. Where are we going tonight? Okay. And we did. Okay. We went to all the things, and it was amazing. And I sat through 8-hour concerts and crawled out at 4 a.m. and went straight to rehearsal. And yeah, it was amazing. I have been in the room with Prince and couldn't he came up and talked to me. I was just yes, sir. You know what I mean? I just can't, my voice got 5 octaves higher, got really meek, and yeah. Because, it's pretty much Jesus himself.
Yeah, no, that's.
I mean, you just, come on now.
Especially approaching you. Yeah. Not just, seeing from afar.
Yeah. It's just no. But yeah, so I'm still in denial about Prince. I mean, when Bowie died, my friend Nate said it best, and he's just Bowie wasn't supposed to die. How can Bowie die? Gods don't die.
It doesn't make any sense.
That's insane.
Yeah.
It makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
Prince died.
It makes perfect sense that he knew, though.
Yeah, and that he released an album to be released, that was purely perfectly orchestrated, artistically designed.
And it didn't come off as crass. It didn't come off as desperate.
Of course
it
not.
all. Yeah. And there are not a lot of artists who could do that.
No.
There are some artists. Well, even if they planned it,
it
would be it would affect their legacy. We would eye roll.
Totally.
Because we'd be oh.
Totally.
Even if they were legendary.
Yeah, absolutely.
Frankly, even if Michael Jackson had done that.
Well,
especially at the time he died.
Yeah.
We would have been well, of course he did.
Yeah, because, Michael... I don't even know when to say.
You don't have to.
Yeah,
there's no joy in that.
There's no joy. We all knew. I'm not going to...
That's okay.
But I think we
I'm not looking for it.
Those of us who are, especially in Black culture, nobody Black is gonna stop listening to Michael Jackson. Even though, I've heard some Black people be like, oh no, I've never listened to Michael Jackson. It's oh, so you're never gonna go to a Black wedding? Okay.
I'm holding my breath for Halloween.
Yeah.
I am waiting. Yeah. Because he is still on my Spotify playlist. He still is in my rotation. But he's not necessarily someone...
He's part of our fabric as Americans.
But he's not necessarily someone that I going to at the moment.
Yeah.
But he'll still come up, and I feel some kind of way about the kind of way.
Yeah, that's a very good point. But yeah, my Michael Jackson years were, Off the Wall, Thriller, Bad. Yeah. You know what I mean? And the stuff, they don't care about us. That video directed by Spike Lee. I'm a huge Spike Lee fan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That video was the shit.
Well,
that song was the shit.
As iconic as his 80s videos are, I think we forget, and it's probably because of the lawsuits and everything. Because that's when stuff started popping up. But the Dangerous album videos are frankly
cinematic masterpieces.
Yeah.
Because they were directed by Coppola, and they were directed by...
But I remember sitting on Sunday night after In Living Color.
Yep.
They would play the full-length world premiere of Remember the Time.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
With Iman and Eddie Murphy. I have distinct memory of this happening.
Yeah.
And I remember they also did that with Black or White.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
oh god, that video.
the fact that it would be like The Simpsons in living color, and then right after living color before rock came on.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm going back.
Yeah.
But we used to watch these as a family.
Yeah.
And so he was like, it was like a thing.
Yeah.
That it was like, this Sunday on Fox.
Yep.
The world premiere.
Remember
we're gonna shave
Woo.
off 10 minutes of whatever is between.
Yep.
And we're gonna play this because they were epic length.
Yeah.
And sometimes never seen that long again on MTV.
Yeah, totally, because they would do the short version.
Yeah.
Yeah, my African teacher choreographed Remember the Time, and she has some stories. She choreographed a lot of shit. But yeah, that video. I mean those. Oh. Yeah, I mean I just yeah, and like I'm trying to figure out, as I think a lot of burlesque people, especially black burlesque folks, is like, we all have some sort of Michael Jackson number.
Well, Jeez Louise has gone on record saying she's still doing Rufio to Bad.
And she should.
She's saying that's just how it is. Just how it is.
I have my Funky Pimp number is to Curtis Mayfield Pusher Man, and then goes into Jackson 5 Dancing Machine. That's Jackson 5, so.
I admit I did Groot at the
Right.
Nerdgasm Festival.
Yeah.
And that has the very tail end of I Want You Back.
Yeah.
And I had a minute.
You take a pause.
But I'm like, well, they booked it. I know they booked it months ago.
Right.
But and I'm not changing it because it's relative.
It's in the movie.
It's in the movie.
And I danced the Weeknd's version of Dirty Diana.
Okay.
And that's one of my major numbers, my Smooth Black Panther number. But it's the Weeknd's version, so I'm kind of like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also said, I don't know who said it, but it's just like, fuck you, we're black, we're dancing to Michael Jackson.
Well, I'm not. I have been referred to as the whitest boylesque performer.
I forgot who it was. I'll have to find it, but they were basically like, you white people can wring your hands and him and haw all you fucking want. We're black. Michael Jackson means a whole nother fucking thing to us. And yeah, shit's fucked up. We've all known shit's been fucked up, and yet we're gonna be dancing this shit at every fucking function, and we're gonna make money off these numbers, and you ain't gonna take shit out of my repertoire.
And his estate is not, frankly. And he's dead.
And he's dead, and his poor daughter is trying to commit suicide, and it's just like, if that poor child makes it through this shit, God bless her, because she's
Frances Bean did.
So,
I mean, that wasn't the same thing.
But
children
what's her nose didn't? Bobby.
No. Bobby didn't. And she kept her ties with her father, too.
Yeah.
Did you ever meet Whitney?
Did not.
And
I regret that.
I had forgotten. And when she died, she was another one I didn't see coming. And again, hindsight's 20/20.
Yeah.
I didn't see Amy Winehouse dying either.
Oh. You didn't?
Well, I mean, frankly, no, because I was like, what could kill her? I was at that point, it was like, what's left? It's like, I was really at that certain point. But Whitney, I mean, decades longer of drug addiction.
Yeah.
And I saw the Can I Be Me documentary, and I was like, oh God, I had no idea. Because I'm listening to My Love Is Your Love, and I had no idea what was happening at the same time. And
apparently the Whitney documentary, which it's in my queue, but I'm not in the mood to get gut punched.
Right.
Apparently it's a giant gut punch.
I haven't seen that. I haven't seen the MJ one. I haven't seen I did see the Sam Cooke one. The Sam Cooke one was good. That's on Netflix. It's very good. I had no idea. I had no idea how he died.
Yeah.
I had no idea. And also really, I mean, it's an entirely different mood swing, but I also really like the Lady Gaga documentary on Netflix.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I like that too. I watched that. Yeah.
And Angie Montani's in it.
Yeah. Yeah, she is.
I was like, holy shit! But yeah, so when Whitney passed, I mean, she was just present.
Yeah.
So the fact that she was present, and I don't want to think about how it will be when Madonna finally succumbs. But
again, how is
I don't know how. I don't know how she could.
How? Yeah.
It will have to be.
She's a Bowie category for me. Like I don't even see how that's gonna happen.
I know.
I realize it's gonna happen, I don't know how.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I just can't even.
I don't know.
Can't even.
But I realized when I was watching, when Michael died, I watched the funeral on streaming because that's what we did, and I did all of this, and then when Bowie died, I was like, but for some reason when Whitney, I like sat and I watched just the newscasters repeating the same 30 minutes of information that they had. Yeah. For some reason, I was not anticipating that being as
I mean, that was, I was part of that Grammys that she was supposed to perform at.
Oh, wow.
Because she was in LA for the Grammys.
She performed
at Clyde.
She did the Clive Davis party.
I was at the Clyde Davis party. I saw her perform. And then the next day, we're at Tech. We get the word. And because my amazing assistant, because of the person he is, turns to me and goes, she wasn't hip-hop. She's not our problem. We need to move on. Okay. He's like, we are not going to be a part of scrambling for this fucking tribute shit. We need to move on. Because, I mean, like, when it comes to those tribute things, when it's something you have to do on the Grammys, it's always a shit show.
Yeah.
And it's always, like, people bending over backwards to make a gesture. And it's always never enough. And it's never adequate.
Yeah.
And he was just like, this is not our problem. Okay, we have bigger fish to fry. And it was just like, oh my God. But like, I admit I listen to more Whitney now than I did when she was alive, because she was just one of those people that was always there,
Sure.
And one thing that strikes me so much about her when you listen to her music is she always sounded like she was smiling.
Yeah.
Whenever she sang, she always sounded like she was smiling. And
if you watch her in the video, she almost always is.
Always. And it wasn't like...
we almost have it all. It's still a smile.
It's still a fucking smile.
Yeah.
And like her stuff, like her later stuff, like $1 Million Bill and...
Oh, that's joy. That's such a joyful song.
God,
you ever see... do you know Jack Barrow?
Yeah.
He go-go'd at White Elephant once to that song, and Whitney's his number one.
Oh.
And he gave me his go-go list, because for a while we were doing some go-go, and he didn't give me Whitney. I was like, Jack, I know this is an oversight. And he said, oh, if you want to throw some on there, like, I'm throwing $1 Million Bill. And I was like, oh, that's one of my favorites.
But yeah, I mean, she always sounded like she was smiling.
Yeah.
And... and as stuff has come out about her life, and, at some point when I feel like any got pushed, I'll watch the Whitney documentary. It's even more amazing that she sounded that way, because she wasn't happy. Mm. From the stories, there's nothing in her life that made her happy, apparently, except for singing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it really sucks that we don't have some new Whitney now, because this would be about the time that we begin some new Whitney. Like every 4 or 5 years, she would pop up, and it'd be like a gay anthem, and it'd be all June and July, and the shit'd be popping, and then it'd roll into graduation, and She
was another one of those perfectionists where if it wasn't perfect, she didn't keep the masters.
Yeah.
There's nothing in the vault.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only thing they have left is live stuff, which is why that's the only stuff they've re-released.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they, rang out what they possibly could for a Bodyguard anniversary album. Yeah. Which, I mean, I like the alternate version, Certified. It's cute. I'd love some new remixes. There was this recent remix album of Donna Summer stuff, and since most of her stuff is 70s and 80s, to have a new sound to it, cool. Yeah. And also, random songs, too, not just the obvious ones. I'd love to hear remixers of today approach that. Yeah. They did that a little bit with Michael Jackson. They had the re-release of Thriller.
Yeah, they did.
I think, is it Akon who did the remix of that?
Yeah, he did.
That was actually really successful.
Yeah.
I thought.
Yeah.
But I'm a remix person.
Yeah, and the JT song on there that he inserted himself on.
Well, the featured one's depending. I don't mind Fergie on Beat It. I admit it. I have to admit it.
She did do that.
She did, but he was still alive, I thought.
I chat my toe to some Fergie every once in a while. Bless her heart. Yeah. She's one of those people that I feel like if she would have just done her solo career from the get-go, which I know she tried.
She tried.
And it just wasn't the right time.
Well, she did. She was the girl group.
Wild
First.
Orchid.
Well, all right.
I only know that because I worked at Virgin Megastore, and they did it in store.
Oh.
And no one knew who they were except for the gay guys.
Was this in Manhattan or was this in...
This was in San Francisco. The gay guys were like, it's Wild Orchid. I'm like, I don't know what that is.
And, okay. And next year, neither will they.
Exactly.
I remember, like, growing up there was, like, Dream and Bewitched.
Oh,
and,
my God, yes.
And, what was the one that Puffy did?
Oh, my God, I'm going to get fired.
Oh.
I should know this. Danny Kane.
Oh, there we are.
Danny Kane. Me and my friend just had a, like, Danny Kane sing-along because those albums were the shit.
I recall at least a couple tracks.
The shit. And, like, their later stuff, Lemonade, that last song they did, Lemonade, and they had,
I liked Damaged.
Damaged was the shit.
That was good.
They had harmonies. Yeah, Danny Kane.
Pour one out.
Danny Kane. And what's her nose? And she, the white girl, is fucking one of the Trumps now.
Oh, was.
Aubrey, yes.
The one who did Apprentice.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
It was
that was a news item for like a hot second. I really wish we had stuck with that a little bit longer. I wonder if somebody got a gag order. Well, you wonder, like, 'cause some things like that, when they go away just as quickly as they came up.
Totally,
I know we live a 24-hour news cycle. There's always something, especially with him. There's always going to be something else to talk about.
Yeah.
But I'm like, that could have lasted
a
little bit
just a little bit
longer. A little bit longer.
Because wasn't it the one that just got the divorce or something? Like, there was a reason.
It was mid-divorce.
Yeah, so it was scandalous.
Yeah.
I should have stuck
I think somebody got money.
Yeah.
Somebody got money.
I hope she got paid. If she had to
one way or
back,
another.
I hope she got paid.
An entirely unappealing family.
But she was always the one who tried to remain relevant. You know what I mean? When Diddy shut them down, she was still out there, like, she's doing The Apprentice, doing everything. So I assume that was
she was even on Drag Race. She even did Drag Race.
Of course she was. So yeah, that was highly calculated. Bless her heart.
Well,
because I think she tried to do Broadway and that didn't work out.
This is staining. I mean, you sing and dance, and also, like, what, 8 shows a week? I can't imagine. Could you imagine?
She was not the voice of that group. The voice, it was Dawn and the other one that Diddy took for Diddy's Dirty Money. Those were the voices. He took the voices from Danny Kane. He snagged those two, and the rest of the movie was like, okay, I really didn't need you anyway. You didn't need the Mexican girl. Didn't need the white girl.
The one who did Coming Home? I'm coming home.
Yep.
Who was? Oh, I loved that. I loved that chorus.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine? If someone said, I mean, you've done tours. How long was the longest stint on a tour you've done? Because you've even done just like partial legs. You've not even done
partial legs. Yeah, I dropped in and out. The longest I've been on a tour has been 3 months.
That's a long time.
Right, that's a long fucking time. And then I was in and out of a tour for like 6 years. It was a different version of the tour, but it was elements of the same thing. Yeah.
Who was on tour for 6 years? I'm trying to think.
Well, it went from like Watch the Throne to Beautiful Disaster and to Yeezus, and it was like,
that.
yeah.
Well, yeah, that was different music, wasn't it? Didn't he release different things during it?
I mean, there was a couple of different things, but yeah, mostly. My part was the same thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That was the whole gauze thing, right? Yeah, I remember. I saw when we first started talking about some of the projects that I can't even say on I allude to sometimes live, but I try to be nice about it.
Yes, you're great at that.
I've every once in a while I try to get like a new. I got a whole bunch today, but a little tidbit of like who did you work with who was not particularly nice, and I won't reveal. Get me drunk. But I said you did a Grammy performance for my number one, and I was I had to say that I had to say it to Jason, the owner of Rock Bar, because he was like, well, who has she worked with? I'm like, well, this and this. I'm like, oh, Living for Love. Oh. Because like he has like respect for some of the names that you would have said,
right.
But he doesn't care. Yeah. So that one matters.
There's always one that like will pull them in. It's like yeah. Usually like Yeah, with the gay audiences, they're like, yeah, whatever, Kanye, whatever. It's like, yes, okay.
Well, I think because, and I'll let you go soon because I know we've been talking for a while. But
you have to talk to homie too.
You've been so forthcoming. This has gone really quickly. I can't believe it's actually been this long.
Oh my god.
It's working with icons and then being responsible for their legacy, essentially.
Oh God, don't put that responsibility on me.
Well, I mean, it's their responsibility to fulfill it. It's their responsibility to fulfill it.
Right,
but
yeah.
Since I said before how we move so quickly, and we already have to have the third single out when the album drops.
Right.
Artists, even like Beyonce, and definitely Kanye, are trying to create their legacy as they're living.
Definitely.
And I wonder every once in a while if that's not only a product of the industry saying you need to be relevant, you need to be out and out and out.
Right.
But also, since our heroes and icons are dying, if they also feel that there's only so much time that they have, not necessarily mortality-wise,
right,
but relevance.
Right.
Because I remember Madonna actually talking about how, I don't even know, it may have been MDNA or something, hadn't sold as well as quote-unquote they wanted to.
Right.
Which admittedly, most of the people who don't like Madonna didn't want it to do well.
Right.
And that working with people like Nicki or MIA or some folk was either acts of desperation or working with. But she said, like, the problem is that everyone wants to talk about, it may have actually been her interview with Howard Stern, relevance. Like, what is the relevance of Aretha Franklin or Patti LaBelle or these, I mean, you mentioned Diana Ross and Tina Turner. The last song I can remember Tina Turner releasing is, now I can't even say it. Think of it. It's the one that sounded like Believe, When the Heartache Is Over.
Yeah.
It's the last one I can think of,
remember.
But she has this long term. When artists have, like, new ideas, like, has anyone ever had, like, the grandest, and again, no names necessary, had, like, the grandest plans, and then you worked so hard, and then it didn't go anywhere?
Yeah,
or been shelved even. Has anything?
Yeah, I mean, like, I've only worked on certain things with her, but I know people have worked on her team continuously.
Oh, I don't mean specifically Madonna, but I meant...
Oh, no, but I'm talking about, like, I mean, like, somebody that I think of a lot whose career is constantly stunted and could possibly be something really amazing, but just keeps getting tripped up is Ciara. And I kind of feel like I've worked on some things with her, and I approached her as this could possibly be where Leah left off. Because when she first came out, she had that swagger. She's gotten a little bit more refined now. You know, she's a mom and Christian, blah, blah, blah. But,
gowns now. Gowns.
You know, gowns. But she can still bust it. I mean, she's an incredible dancer. And she can sing like a motherfucker while she's dancing. And she's always had that ability. A lot of people, one in particular that I will not mention, had to build that. Because it's not a natural skill. You know what I mean? And she is
to be able to
fucking dance your ass off and sing. It's not easy. And she had that from day one. And it just, like, she would get a hit, and then you wouldn't hear from her. And then she would get another hit, you wouldn't get a hit for her. And then she'd get another thing, you wouldn't hear from her. And then she would do a thing, and then you'd go away. And then, you know what I mean?
She was another one who did a lot of collabs that would, yeah.
You know what I mean? And just, you know. Tiana Taylor's another one. Fucking brilliant. And can't catch a break to save her goddamn life. You know? You know, but she had no tears. She has an amazing husband, and, you know, she's doing her thing. But, you know, like, yeah, you know, and then you have, like, the people, like, I mean, obviously Beyonce ain't going nowhere. Beyonce is going to move into that Madonna, you know, area. to stand with Madonna, because I don't understand how Madonna could ever go away. I don't understand that.
She probably will bridge that gap between the Tina Turner and the Madonna.
I assume so. I assume that. And I also think Rihanna is another one that is always going to be here. And not...
She's a little dirtier.
She is dirtier.
She's more provocative than Beyonce.
She is dirtier, but she is also multifaceted. Beyonce can't act. She's tried. She can't do it. Okay, and I think even Beyonce has figured that out. Okay, because you haven't seen Beyonce keep trying to do the things. I mean, she's doing the Lion King thing, but she's
yeah, it's a CGI.
Rihanna can do all the things. She can act. She can model. She can spokesperson. She can create.
She's a great talk show guest.
She's
a
personable.
Great personality. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, she can do all the things. She ain't going anywhere.
And she's extremely giftable.
Exactly. She ain't going anywhere. She's going to be here for a very hot minute. And I'm trying to think, like, someone who's, like... I mean, who's, like, somebody that's dirty that's still around? Well, Madonna. You know what I mean? I don't think Gaga's going anywhere. She's doing the...
left. She's done so much in such a short amount of time. I'm very curious about...
She's doing her Vegas residency. I mean, I guarantee she's going to be in Vegas for the next, 5-10 years.
Really?
You know? I mean, I don't think consistently, but she'll, come in and go. And, she's going to Elton John it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's not quite the Celine route, but back and forth.
You know what I mean? And then she'll do some stuff. And
I would love her, frankly, I would love her just to become, our next Bette Midler. She has high camp value. Embrace the fuck out of it.
I see no reason why she couldn't.
Why not?
You know what I mean?
Why not?
Why she couldn't, yeah. I mean, Ariana has promise. She definitely has range, If we
could just stop comparing her to Mariah. I think we may have finally, because the new music isn't Mariah.
No, it's not right. I mean, she can hit Mariah. There's a couple of songs where she hits that octave, but not even Mariah's interested in hitting that octave anymore. She's like, I don't have to do this shit. Yeah, Mariah ain't going anywhere.
Yeah, it's another one who is
that
day.
Anywhere.
Can you
She's
imagine?
Not going anywhere. I mean, come on now. Mariah will be doing the least while doing the most for the rest of her life. Okay. Seriously.
She's not who's zigged when expected to zag. She doesn't care what you want out of her. And her new album's a hit, as far as I've heard.
Yeah.
I haven't heard it, but I've heard that it's a crowd pleaser.
And
she writes all her own shit and owns the publishing.
She owns everything.
So anything that even eventually gets sampled or used in this, it's hers. She's very savvy.
Every commercial, hers.
And again, another one who never really has to work again.
Never. Yeah, I don't know who's gonna be around when the smoke clears. I mean, really, the only one of the newer ones that
we still have Cher.
We still have Cher. Cher ain't going anywhere. Cher ain't going anywhere.
Cher's a good one.
Cher's not going anywhere. Cher can't go anywhere.
It's not allowed.
Where the fuck can Cher go? I mean, come on. Okay.
Olympus.
Yeah, I don't know of anyone. Ariana's the only one that has a twinge of promise,
Still work on I guess keeping the likability.
Keeping the likability, and at some point she has to age. I mean, she still looks like she's 12.
Well, she can't do anything with her hair. She has to leave her hair up. Did you hear?
No.
She has alopecia issues, so she has to wear a fall because they dyed the hell out of her, or they bleached the hell out of her hair when she was on that Nickelodeon show.
She can wear a full wig.
Well, yes, she could.
Seriously, she looks like she's constantly ready for a quinceañera. I can't. That's why I can't take her seriously.
She's not even Latina.
Exactly. But she looks like she's constantly ready for her non-constant quinceañera.
She's Italian.
I can't take her seriously because she looks like a musketeer still. They need to get the bitch a fall or something. She needs to pull some black folk in on her hair team to fix her situation because that ponytail's not doing her any favors. Stop doing her papers. Like, it's just so funny.
utterly delightful, and I never want to stop talking to you. But
you have to go talk to Homie.
I know, I do. And
Yes.
you know, also let you continue your life.
Yeah, I'm really busy here being a dog couch.
I can't get, but there's still stuff you can't say on the air.
That's true.
So even if it was like a sleepover time, like then it'd be like, we're just gonna turn the microphone, and then we're gonna get the real story. No, I think you've been extraordinarily charming and lovely to work with. As someone who is really only just beginning the bi-coastal experience.
Yes.
And it's difficult, to say the least.
And expensive as fuck.
Yes, I think. Fortunately, that mostly falls into my husband. He's the one who moved. He's the one who has the better job. He's the one who handles that.
There you go.
But it's true. And it also affects everything else.
Yeah.
Because even if you can't afford to do that, that means other things have to be adjusted.
Yeah.
How do you prepare yourself for the back and forth? I know a lot of times it's for work. It's not yet for work for me yet.
Right.
I'm going there to be with my husband and to work when I can.
Right.
And I'm just sowing those seeds to see where they land. I have three dates on my calendar. All right, thank you. But I'm very much Joan Rivers in that sense, where if I don't have the calendar filled, I'm like, this is death.
Because you're a Virgo.
Yeah. And I can fill it with other things. I'm working on another project that doesn't involve me on stage. I still produce the shows when I'm not there.
Right.
Broody Valentino, Lillian Bussell hold down the fort for me. And I have that in my head, but I'm curious, how do you set yourself up? What do you do?
Well, when I am, it is for work. Because I don't have,
personal connections?
Other than city. But, it is for work. So, it's really, people, ask me, what does it take to be a bi-coastal? I'm like, a shit ton of money. It's really fucking expensive. UPS is my mover. And, each way, $500, bringing all the stuff that's in that other bedroom. Because it's all my costumes. Yeah. I ship.
You're bringing another person.
I'm bringing a whole nother person. She's really fucking expensive. I ship 2 suitcases, 6 boxes, and 1 large fan box in my rocket gun.
Okay.
Every time. So I ship 8 to 9 pieces. And it's about $500 to $600. And so there's just that. And then usually somebody is picking up my airfare.
Nice.
You know, this time it was the Nerdless Festival, bless them. Sometimes it's Ailey, sometimes, you know, so usually my airfare is taken care of, but the dog's airfare isn't taken care of, and the dog is $120 each way. So I'm essentially buying a plane ticket anyway.
How much is he?
120. Yeah. Yeah. And he sits under my seat. He's my carry-on luggage. It makes no sense. It makes no sense.
One of these days I got to bring my cat to...
I traveled with my cat. When I had my cat, I traveled with my cat.
Well, he's not going to come back and forth with me. But that will, honestly, that'll be the tipping point.
Yeah.
That'll be the difference of where I'm staying and where I'm living.
Yeah.
I'll be living in Riverside officially when that happens.
Cat's
and my husband understands that.
Yeah,
my name is on the lease and I love him very much. But it's when Samuel goes with me.
There you go.
Because that will... It'll be really the one who doesn't also have a job.
Right.
Who also doesn't have a life outside of me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, my cat traveled with me for 15 years, back and forth. My cat traveled with me to Paris. My cat traveled with me everywhere. I was his human, so wherever I was, it was cool. You know, he was cool. This one is obviously very attached to me and travels very well. But yeah, it's really fucking expensive. I had an apartment on Delancey and Clinton, which basically meant I slept on the Williamsburg Bridge. It was a great first apartment. It was 4 flights up. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't have a cool real estate agent. I basically fell into it. I had a chunk of money from doing a big job, and I did it. This time, because I couldn't travel last year because I was on contract. So while I was thinking about when coming back to New York as soon as possible, as soon as my contract was up, I had to figure out if I wanted to go back to that apartment, and I didn't, because it was on the fucking bridge, and it was 4 flights up, and it was between the bridge, and behind me was the school. I was like, what was I thinking? So I have an incredible agent. I was like, I want to sell Delancey. I need something that's not on the bridge, but I need to be in the Lower East Side, and I need, like, at least a real 1-bedroom, but I definitely need sunlight, like that, because that was the other apartment had, like, the only sunlight came in was in the bedroom, which was in the back, which of course was on the bridge. So
is that just to make you feel more alive?
I have to have light. I'm very, that's my thing. Like, I have to have sunlight. Like, that's my, if I don't, I get very, just not feeling good. I have to have sunlight. Like, I'm the kind of person that sleeps with the blinds open. I don't mind the sun opening. Like, that's my thing. So I sold it. He's like, okay, you know, and he took me to the virtual tour. I'm like, that looks really amazing. He's like, it's only 2 flights up. I'm like, sold. Okay. And it's right next to a venue I work at, which is even better. So it just makes life so much easier.
Are you there?
I do atmosphere stuff. Yeah, yeah. And the only noise I hear, like, usually, like, we're in the middle of Lower East Side.
Yeah.
And, like, I'll hear bass from next door, but that stops at 4 a.m., which is usually when I'm getting home anyway.
Valid.
The bridge never stops. It's super expensive. Me prepping, like, people don't understand, like, when I says, it's like, okay, well, I'm going back to New York next week, so I need to pack. Like, people don't understand. It's like, no, I have to methodically think out what gigs I have and which costumes are going, and I have to ship ahead of time so that when I get into town, my shit arrives in time for my next gig. You know what I mean? I have to deal with UPS. UPS only, Monday through Friday, so I have to count out what days, and I have to do home pickup, so I have to make sure I'm home on the days so the guy can come get my shit, and then I have to make sure I'm home in New York so that I can get the shit. And it's a big fucking, like, I plan out 2 weeks before I leave. It becomes an issue. So if I'm doing gigs, like, I have to know what gigs I'm doing and what gigs I can't do because that costume has to go away. You know what I mean? And what gigs am I doing? What gigs am I taking with me on the airplane? Like, when I land, it has to be the lightest thing because I'm traveling with all the things, and there's UPS doesn't have a weight limit. JetBlue does. You know what I mean? So, like, I have to plan all the things. And it takes a lot of fucking organization. Like,
You don't have an assistant.
I have an assistant, but I try not to have them assist in my life. You know what I mean?
That's what I
like,
mean. You
yeah,
don't
exactly.
have
I don't have a...
You have a professional assistant, but
I
you
don't have a fix my life assistant.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, it takes a lot. And I've been bouncing back and forth for 6-7 years now.
Mm-hmm.
I have it down to a science, but it never gets any easier. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, this was probably the easiest because I only had to get shit up 2 flights of stairs.
How long have you been in this one?
I just moved in.
Just
moved in.
This was the first visit?
This was the first visit.
Oh.
Yeah. And, like, they had stuff, like, it was already furnished like that, obviously. Well, actually, 'cause I'm going to Airbnb it, so I'm kind of like...
Oh, okay.
I don't know how moved in I'm going to be like that.
How do you get attached if you're not going to spend all your time here?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I love the place. It has a good energy. Like, you know, I mean, that's great for an Airbnb, people, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
A lot of cabinets?
Lots of cabinets. Like, yeah, the place has been remodeled, obviously. But, yeah, when they did the remodel, like, there's shelves, cabinets all in the bedroom, everything. Like, there's a whole wall of shelves in the second bedroom.
Cool.
Which I would never go into because there's no direct light, so my costumes live there. Like, you know,
for guests.
Yeah, you know, for people who don't like direct sunlight, that place is awesome. But yeah, you know, it never gets any easier. You have to plan. You can't just decide, oh, I'm gonna go blah blah for a month. You know. Yeah,
people on tour. I mean, you gotta.
You can go on tour, but like if you're actually gonna be living in a city, like when I come to New York, I live here. Like I take jobs here. You know what I mean? I visit people. I visit friends. Like I have a community here. Yeah, and then same with LA. When I go back to LA, like I live there. I would never Airbnb my place in LA because that's where most of my stuff is. Mm-hmm. And I also live in a loft that has 3 levels. That a normal sized person, like, you could easily fall off and die, and I just don't need some European tourist taking a header in my fucking place. Like, that would be my nightmare. Like, you know, totally possible. So yeah, and because it's a loft, it's open, so there's like no way to secure. So like I can lock shit in closets here if I need to. But yeah, so it's hard. Like, bicoastal, it's not for the faint of heart. It's not for the faint of heart. And it takes a lot of organization. UPS is your best friend.
All right.
UPS is the shit.
I'm already thinking about it because when I'm heading over there in 9 days, 8 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be there for the 1st of May. So
okay,
yeah. After this I'll be there already by the time this goes out.
Oh my god, yeah. We're getting back in LA around the same time because cool. I fly back on the 30th. Yeah. So,
cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go check out your haunts.
Yes.
That's the other thing. I get to like go to things, and I like that too.
Yeah.
It's a little different because it feels extra networky because I'm not working.
Right.
Where if I go to a show that a friend is in or that I just want to see, it's just like, oh, I'm taking in a show. I'm experiencing my art.
Right.
Which I am. I also, if that person wants to book me later, cool.
Right.
But that's not always why I go to places. I am finding myself actively wanting to go up to the artist that I see and say, hey, me too.
Right.
And not just so I can, get that slot but recognition, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you gotta find your tribe with any city. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta find your tribe. I mean, I lucked out in that I'm born and raised in New York, so I automatically have a territorial comfort.
Sure. You
know
see
what
people
I mean?
every day.
Exactly. But I had already established myself as a performer in New York before I was bouncing back and forth. So that was helpful. Mm-hmm. When I decided I was going to do this, it was like, oh, well, I already know these people from festivals. They know what I do. I've performed in New York a ton. Because I would always do the New York Burlesque Festival. did straight for like 6 years, so I knew it at Montana, like I knew all these people. I knew I could like bring them up at any time.
And say, what do you got going on?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing stuff anymore, because I came in right at the end of like Starshine. So I knew all those people that came out of that. And so like, I got Nasty Canasta and you know what I mean? So it's like, what are you doing now, Nasty? What are you doing now, Brooklyn? You know what I mean? And what are you doing now, Pork Pie? Like, so like they all just split out, and then from them I met Calamity Chang and Broadway, so I had already established myself as a performer before I came over here. So I just literally just need to get my ass there for a month and work it out.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then, of course, in LA, that, exiled.
Are you in LA proper, or are you...
I live downtown. Downtown LA. So, yeah, I'm pretty much as LA as you can get. I love living downtown. I live in the Arts District, which is essentially Freeman's Alley, the whole neighborhood. Like the irony is not lost on me that this is where I've ended up, I love the Arts District. It's the most New York place in LA, and you can walk places. There's an actual neighborhood there. My friend's running joke is, if your loft was in Tribeca, no co-op would ever allow you to live there. Because I'm in LA, I can. But yeah, so I live downtown, and there's a few shows downtown, but I usually find myself driving. My weekly gig is in Venice, which is the other end of the world as far as LA is concerned. But it's a midnight show, so it only takes me 20 minutes to get there. If it was an early show, I would not do it. There's no fucking way. No amount of money in the world would get me to drive there during prime time.
When does prime time end?
Midnight.
I have that to look forward to. I have a Thursday gig. I'll block that the whole day off.
Oh, Thursday is the worst. Apparently Thursday is the worst traffic day. I don't know why. But yeah, Thursday sucks.
I got 2 that day, so I'm just gonna stay.
Yeah, get early and stay late.
That's the plan.
Definitely. Yeah, traffic is like, in New York it's the trains. In LA it's the traffic. Like, it just, yeah.
Yeah. See, and I'm a driver and even in New York.
Okay, yeah,
so
you drive in LA. Oh my god.
Yeah, I parked over.
I never drove in New York.
Yeah.
I learned to drive in New York, but I never drove in New York.
I learned to drive while I was booking in New York, so it didn't even occur to me to not. And then once I realized it's not the other cars, it's the pedestrians. Because they don't give a fuck. The other cars, they have to stop. Because they're going to hit a person. So if I stop in time to not hit that car who didn't hit a person, great. People don't care.
I went and saw Master Keith in Beetlejuice. Plug. Yay, he was amazing. We were leaving the theater, walking through shit show that is Times Square and Broadway. And the light was flashing. We still had, it was counting down, so we had the right of way, and this guy turned left, into us, and we're both just like, what motherfucker? We were in mid-conversation, cussed out the guy who was cussing us back, and then immediately popped back into conversation. Abe was just like, we just had such the quintessential New York moment. It was so true, though. He's like, that was for all the tourists. You're welcome.
That was my Dustin Hoffman moment.
Welcome to New York.
Well, I'm excited to see you on the other coast.
Yes.
See what you got going on. See what I get going on.
Yeah.
But it was lovely to see you while you were here.
Yes. Thank you so much for booking me.
Yeah, my pleasure.
I love doing your show.
Thank you. I love having you there.
Yes.
And we will keep on.
Absolutely.
And I will find out more stuff.
Yes.
And not talk about it. But that's not really why I love you. I love you because you've always been very nice to me. And I had it I met you through Pork Pie. I met you at Pretensione.
Yeah.
When you were doing Kanye, actually. You were doing your Android act. And is that also your C-3PO? Or is it different?
The same costume. That's how I got the C-3PO gig.
Got it.
She's like, we have a gold robot. I have a mask. Let's go.
Then we hung out at the party after.
Yeah.
And you were so lovely and charming. And then you happened to be in, wherever the fuck, New Jersey. And he ran up to me to say hi, and I was like, oh. So, like I said, I like that one. So, thank you for being a friend.
Thank you.
And a fabulous colleague.
Yes, absolutely.
And my bi-coastal bud.
Yep.
All right.
Become friends with UPS. That's my only word of advice.
I'm working on it.
Get a business account and be friends with UPS. Because when you ship via business account,
oh yeah,
you get like 20% off.
Cool.
And you don't have to pay for a month. So yeah.
This has been WEBurlesque, the podcast. I'm Victor Devon, and I've been sitting with Lux LaCroix.
Hello.
I will, in the footnotes, have all of the ways to stay in touch with Lux and see what she is up to, whether she is, anywhere in this country or out of the country. And only know you're only getting half the story. So I will see you soon. Thank you so much for chatting, Lux.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
I wave at the screen for some reason. Almost every time.
Do you like movies?
Any movies. Old movies, new movies.
Bad movies.
Sad movies.
I'm Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
And I'm Rachel Corky Shank.
And together we host Screen Snark, a movie podcast for movie lovers by movie lovers.
It's a podcast dedicated to the movies that are in our eyes, on our minds, and in our hearts.
Featuring guests of a wide selection of entertainment backgrounds, performers, writers, creatives.
So please join us for the casual cinema conversation every other Monday wherever you get your podcasts.
And follow us on Twitter at @screen_snark, and we'll see you at the movies. All right, we're supposed to do that bit together.
It's cool.